This happened when the main character was given a task and she got lost. She overheard a conversation she shouldn't have heard. The guy asks if Essen has disappeared, and he thinks that if the bride ran away, this will make the master very angry, and therefore orders him to find her no matter what it takes. At this time, the main character understands that she heard, but suddenly she was noticed, and at this time she thought that she would now die. As soon as she saw the three men, the young lady immediately felt that today would be the last day of her life. The closest heir to the crown prince is the Marquis of Oviedo Terni Acra Oviedosu, closest to the crown prince, and called the genius knight Diano Zabi Venedetto, the only heir of Affanino Adrian Brish Keitel Jackal Allenson. The frightened girl explains that she simply came on behalf of Her Highness the Princess. The heir asks who she is. The maid answers that she is from the palace of the Rufinos, and he wonders who asked her about this, and then claims that he asked who she is. The girl explains that she is just a servant, and looks at these guys very frightened. The prince says that it doesn't matter, and wants her to just fall into eternal sleep, and then pulls out the sword. And at that time the girl closed her eyes, because she was scared and screamed loudly. Akira grabs His Highness by the hand, and tells him to restrain himself, because he believes that if a person dies, here suspicions will immediately arise, and so he suggests that if he wants to finish her off, he needs to do it a little more judiciously. The guy turns to the maid and asks since when she has been eavesdropping, and also tells her not to even try to deceive him. The girl screams and explains that she heard that his fiance ran away, and he asks if that's all. The little girl says that she also heard that his bride was actually a man. Hearing this, the guys looked at her in surprise, and the prince says that this won't do, and thinks that she needs to be finished off. Hearing this, the maid falls to the floor and screams, asking to be left alive because she will do whatever they say. Adrian came up to her and then asked if she would definitely do everything. He touched her face and looked into her eyes, and then said that he would then choose her. Hearing this, the main character does not understand what he is talking about and why he will choose her. The prince says that they have similar hair and eye color and appearance, and therefore it will be possible to lie a little, since he believes that everyone will turn a blind eye to this, and if he tries with the voice, something will come of it. His Highness turns to the girl and says that if she doesn't succeed, she can simply shut up or remain silent altogether, not even squeal. The little girl asks in surprise what he is talking about and what she needs to do for this. The prince says that she will be his bride. Hearing these words, the main character became the crown prince's bride. She read the biography and realized that Viola Bilbao was a ruined aristocrat. Turney claims that there are no particularly unpleasant moments, and it seems that she is truly not guilty of anything. At this time, the crown prince does not understand why he should get married at all, because at this time he wants to kill everyone, so he caught the first Essen he came across and forced him to pretend to be his bride. The prince did not think that he would insist on his pride as a knight and run away, but he believes that if he only gets the rights to the throne, then everything will end and he will endure only until that moment. Adrian asks how the search for Essen is going. The dark-haired guy confidently says that Diano is diligently searching for him. The prince asks why he is here, and also inquires about her training. The guy asks to give him some rest, and then asks if he wants to suck all the juices out of him. His Highness says that he went and taught her right away. The Marquis asks in surprise why he thinks that it is possible to do this without rushing, and then says that he does not even let him rest. Adrian orders to take responsibility and make it so that it can be used. The Marquis had no choice but to agree with the crown prince. In just one night, the whole world changed, and the main character realized that recently she was a former servant and now the bride of the crown prince. She does not understand where she is and who she is. The Marquis turns to the girl and says that he is counting on her and calls her his little one, and then says that he is her older brother, Turney. Hearing this, the girl thought that she couldn't believe that this man had suddenly become her older brother, and that she had lived to see this. The guy asks if she knows that he is her older brother, and at that time, the girl thought that she just doesn't want to know. The main character reflects on the fact that after the crown prince suddenly chose her as his bride, she was captured and brought to Lily's palace. Lily Palace, the place where the future wife of the crown prince learns palace etiquette. In the evening, lying in bed, the young lady thought that although they said that they would really do everything tomorrow and let her rest, Of course, she could not sleep normally, because they told her that now that she was a bride, she had to study science. Turney fell into this place right at dawn and sat her down, and the girl still finds it hard to believe that this situation is real. But she understands that everyone except her is calm. The guy says he thinks she knows, but in order for them to move on, he will explain to her one more time, and then tells her that his name is Terney Akira Oviedo, and that from today, she is Atian Shabil Rabat. Oviedo is the secret daughter of the Marquise of Oviedo. The little girl thought about what she had heard about her, that one day the youngest daughter of the Marquis of Oviedo appeared, and therefore she thought that the way she suddenly appeared was too strange, but she did not even imagine that there would be such a story hidden behind it. The Marquise explains that in fact, if Essen had not escaped, he would not have had to go through all this torment. Essen was the escort knight of the crown prince, and there is a high probability that this is the name of that very man, the prince's bride whom he loved, that is a man in women's clothing. The main character does not understand why they talked about this, as if on purpose when she was there, and now she is here, the bride, the groom of the crown prince. It does not matter, because she just wanted to let her live in peace. Turney claims that she is also sorry because by chance she got involved with that idiot crown prince, and as luck would have it, she was noticed. But in any case, she needs to learn a lot if she does not want to die, and therefore she must study hard, because there are 2 weeks left until the ball. The Marquis says that until then, she must by any means become like Essen, and since he is perfect to play the role of the bride. However, he believes that the girl does not know how to do this. At this time, the young lady does not understand whether she will be able to survive. The girl says that she will try to remember these words and calls His Excellency Count Oviedo. Hearing this, the guy objects and says that there is no need to address him so dryly, because now they are brother and sister, and therefore she should speak more simply and sometimes brother. The Marquis says that since she worked as a servant, she must know the aristocrats well. The girl replies that she knows a little, and he claims that if she knows a little, she will die. The little girl claims that she knows perfectly well and even tries to convince him of this. The prince enters the room and asks if they are finished with their training. The Marquis says that they are almost finished, and at that time, the girl thought that they haven't even started yet. The main character looked at the gentleman and thought that she had done something wrong. Adrian says that since he's almost finished, let him go out, it's not that urgent. The guy with dark hair screams and reminds him that he said it was urgent, but the prince grabbed him and pushed him out the door. The young lady does not understand why he looks at her like that, and reflects on the fact that 2 people are responsible for her education. The first is her older brother Terney, and the second is her main servant, Madame Lucis. Lucy tells the lady not to worry about the upcoming ball, because if she trusts her, she will shine brighter than everyone else. But first, she needs to have all her clothes altered. Hearing this, the girl thought that she was somehow strange and thought that perhaps she also knew about that secret. The young lady turns to Miss Maid and asks if she too knows that this bride was a man. Lucy says that of course she knows, because she dressed him in women's clothes, and it seems to her that no one guessed that he was a man. The maid says that the dress they urgently need to alter is what she will wear in 2 weeks, and then says that the suit for His Majesty's birthday is simply wonderful. Lucy tells the lady that once she sees this dress, she will constantly dream about it, such is its beauty. At this time, the girl thinks about the fact that the ball she will have to attend is a celebration of His Majesty's birthday. Madame says that Mr. Essen loved him very much, and she is also sad that he suddenly disappeared, and it is not surprising that the atmosphere between the 2 of them was so difficult, and then explains that she is talking about Mr. Essen and His Highness the Crown Prince, because they had a special relationship. The maid says that everything is clear, because since childhood, these 2 had friendly relations, and His Highness said that if a person gives in to Essen, he will never enter the hall with him, and then tells the lady not to worry, because she will quickly get used to it, and she will definitely not be exposed. Lucy says that she has taken all the measurements and can proceed to the next one, and offers to find colors suitable for the new Lady Ati, Crown Prince Affanino Hadrian. As the only successor, received a lot of praise and always heard from everyone that he would become emperor, and he was talented in all areas and was also recognized by society because he was the son of the empress. If the rumors are to be believed, the prince turned out to be a truly ideal crown prince. However, he had one serious flaw that was not widely publicized, and that is that he has a simply disgusting character. But how did rumors not spread about this? After all, such a terrible character cannot be hidden simply by wanting it. And besides, because the crown prince hated women, he constantly ignored matchmaking requests from other noble houses. Suddenly, a partner sent by fate appeared, and it was Atienne Shabil Oviedo, a daughter who appeared out of nowhere in the Oviedo family, in which there was always only one descendant of the fifth generation. It is not clear why, but society did not ask any questions about this. The main character understands that in any case, it turns out that the daughter was a man dressed as a woman, and she could not imagine this, but she does not understand why the bride ran away, and thinks that maybe he too could not stand his dirty characters. Etienne reflects that this makes sense, and it seems she can even guess why. His Highness asks the young lady what she is thinking about, and at this time, the girl realized that she was too deep in thought and explains that she just briefly thought about something else. The prince asks her if she wants to die right now and then pulls out his sword. Seeing this, the girl screams and explains that she was just briefly thinking about something else. Adrian believes that she really wants to tell everyone about her separation from this world, and the little girl screams and asks to leave her alive because she was wrong. Tierney turns to the gentleman and says that he has stopped making fun of her. Hearing this, the girl realized that he was just joking with her, but she believes that he will soon get this sword. The prince asks the girl to repeat what he just said. At this time, she was confused and looked at Diano, but he turned his gaze away. The young lady thought that he had behaved rudely, and then the lady turns to her brother and asks him to help her one more time, and then asks if he is going to send his sister to another world. The prince asks if there is another answer, and the girl asks if he talked about a date with her. Upon hearing this, His Highness claims that this is nonsense, and at this time, the girl thought that now she is exactly a corpse. Adriano thought that even though he had already given her a chance several times, and then asked if she was stupid, and therefore thought that she would be of no use, and it seemed to him that they would be quickly exposed. Turney thinks that's better than no one at all. Diano says that he thinks she's smart. Hearing this, the prince asks if he is now speaking out against him, and the boy with pink hair objects and asks how he would dare to oppose the order of His Highness. At this time, the main character realized that he pretended to help, but no sense came out of it, and he got even more angry. And she believes that there are enemies on all sides, and she is sure that these people are irritated because they cannot finish her off. Turney asks His Highness if he will marry that girl, and the prince, hearing this maliciously, asks if he also wants to die. The young lady thought about what they were talking about, and they were wondering who this girl was, and it seemed to her that they would not tell her anything. The guy says that the princess is looking for this servant, and says that she sent her to the crown prince on an errand, but she didn't return. Adrian reminds him that he told him to tell him that she died. Tierney asks who would believe that, and the prince tells him to do something appropriate. The Marquis says that he has been assigned something difficult again. Diano turns to His Highness and says that if he wants to finish her off, he'd better do it quickly and get rid of the corpse. At this time, the little girl thought that she needed to sew his mouth shut, because she didn't understand how he dared to say whatever he wanted about someone else's life. The prince asks what kind of nonsense this is, and wonders if he will marry that crazy woman. Diano objects, and explains that there are things that can be said, and things that cannot be said, and then asks how he could say something so horrible. The guy with pink hair says that he would rather die, and the prince objects, and says that he doesn't need to die. At this time, the main character thought that she was jealous because she wanted to live, but he threatened to kill her. The young lady raises her hand and apologizes, and then asks if he should have a bride. Until now, the crown prince has been able to withstand pressure from his elders very well, even without having a bride. Rather on the contrary, people were surprised at what kind of bride he suddenly brought. The little girl muses that she doesn't think he needs to find a replacement. The gentleman says there's a reason she should know this, and suggests she focus on her duties. The girl claims that she will do so. Turney turns to His Highness and asks why he is behaving like this with her, since he thinks that she might be interested. The guy explains that, in fact, Her Majesty the Empress wants the crown prince to get married as soon as possible, But even though he has been avoiding marriage all this time due to his young age now, he is already over 20 and needs to get married, and he has suffered a real collapse. The Marquis says that Her Majesty the Empress wants him to marry a lady, and that girl is very unusual. Adrian thinks that instead of making that crazy woman his wife, it would be better to destroy the empire altogether. At this time, the girl thought that it seems that he directly hates her. The prince asks if Essen has been found. The young man replies that he has not been found yet, but is in the process and believes that it is all because of his excessive ardor in bed. Hearing this, the little girl was surprised and said that she was just air and suggested that they continue. His Highness says that he believes that the heir has been talking a lot lately, and then reports that the guy called the guard has escaped, and he escaped on purpose so they can't figure out where he went. Diano suggests that maybe he went home, but the prince objects and says that he already contacted him and he did not come, and therefore he thinks that he needs to find him as soon as possible. The Marquis says in surprise that he has a replacement, and then asks if there is a need to look for him. Adrian asks if he is offering to believe in this, and orders that in any case, she should be made useful during these 2 weeks, since the celebration of the Empress's birthday should come without a hitch. Etienne apologizes and asks what will happen if it is revealed that she is a fake. His Highness replies that she will either die or perish, and therefore suggests that she try. Turney turns to the girl and asks if they will have a friendly conversation between brother and sister. And at this time, the main character thought that they had only seen each other for a short time, and he already calls them brother and sister, although they do not have a drop of the same blood. The girl thought that she needed to get out of there as quickly as possible. The Marquis asks Ati if she is going to run away. Hearing this, the girl thought that he was a seer, and then asserts that of course not. The young lady asks, what will happen if she tries to escape and is discovered? He replies that it is obvious that her head will fly off her shoulders. The guy explains that she must know it herself, but in the inner palace of the Imperial family, there is the strictest security, and in addition, from Essen, it has been strengthened in the palaces of Lily and Poinsettia. Turney says that there is no mercy in Adriana, and even the fact that she is alive now is his amazing mercy. Hearing this, the little girl was surprised, and he explains that he is just saying that. The young man says that it is because he is her brother, and Ati remains alive, even if he bullies Adrian. And then he claims that this is not about her, and hopes that she will live a long time. That day, the main character completely got rid of the desire to run away, because she was sure that, whether intentionally or not, Thorny did not lie to her. And after that, she had to immerse herself in her studies for the sake of survival. Ati studied the system in the palace, and the things that she had to do as part of the nobility. She was able to learn all of this quickly, only because she was from a ruined noble family. Otherwise, she would have died at the hands of the crown prince. The girl believes that to the same extent, their classes turned out to be incredibly cruel, simply merciless. And yet she was glad, because the more she studied, the higher the probability became that she would stay alive. The main character understood that she could not do this anymore, because she was losing all her strength, because of Madame Lucy's laughter, because she was constantly offering her different dresses, because each of them was more beautiful. Ati could not stand it any longer, and asked when they would study, because she believed that whether the clothes were beautiful or not would not affect her life in any way, and she believed that she should study now. Lucia smiles and says that everything is fine, because she feels that the girl will cope. The surprised lady asks how she can cope if she does not know anything. Diana was passing by at that time, and was wondering how the lady was doing, and then opened the door and asked if everything was going well. Lucia replied that of course it was perfect and excellent, and then smiled. At this time, the girl does not understand what could be ideal at all, and the young man claims that everything is fine, and then closes the door and leaves. Atienne thought that he was not fulfilling his duties at all, because he didn't understand whether he shouldn't have checked whether their training was really going on. It's been a few days since Ati started studying to become the ideal future wife of the crown prince. Adrian thought that he had entrusted her with this without any hope, but she was doing surprisingly well, and believed that no matter how confused, stupid, and imperfect she seemed, this girl was smart and knew how to quickly assess the situation and knew how to adapt to the mood of others. The prince reflects on the fact that perhaps because her life is at stake, she learns rather quickly, and it is clear that she is trying only because of the desire to survive. But it turns out that she really is useful. Tyranny believes that it may be because originally from the nobility, Ati has excellent innate qualities. His Highness thought that they are not even real brother and sister, but he cares about her so much, calling her Ati, and then asks what other qualities, and also wonders if he is talking about the innate qualities of the crown prince's wife. The Marquis objects and explains that he is talking about his younger sister. Adrian thought that he could finish him off, but he thinks that it's not time yet, because if he kills him, he'll have to sort out a whole bunch of things. Turney says he's glad he has a sweet sister, because she listens to him well. Diano thinks it's because he threatens her. The Marquis announces that she is finally starting to dance today, and asks if the prince will be her partner for the first lesson. His Highness asks if he is serious, and then calls him a fool. Turney says that this noble brother has no choice but to go himself. I think he has a poor sister. The Marquis thought that he was sure that at first, this guy also wasn't happy about the headache from the viola, and he didn't understand why he suddenly liked her so much. Lucy says that she ordered about 50 dresses to begin with. Hearing this, the main character is surprised and asks why so many. And at that time, she thought about whether she would be able to wear them out in her entire life. Madame claims that this is her first time, and therefore she deliberately made a modest order, and next time she will buy about 200 pieces and asks if it will be fun to choose one of them. At this time, the main character thought that it seemed to her that she wanted to use her to play with dolls, and the lady said that tomorrow they would choose accessories together, and then smiled again. The young lady thought that this sound would soon make her neurotic, and Lucy suggests that she sit for a while. Atten looked at the dress and thought that, no matter how much she looked, it was still a very large scale. After all, it was hard for her to buy even a doucheman dress. The girl thought that if she steals even one, then she believes her life will end, and therefore she needs to stop, but she doesn't understand why he still doesn't come. The young lady came closer to the door and heard a conversation about how Lady Gabriel was with the empress, and it was probably because she wanted to marry his Highness. The main character knew that Gabriel was a lady from the famous family of the Chancellor, and she became interested in whether she was the crazy woman the prince was talking about. A maid asks her friend why his Highness hates Lady Gabriel so much, because he thinks she is very beautiful. And another maid asks if she knows about that rumor, and then tells her that his Highness loves men, and that is why he hates Lady Gabriel and the other ladies. The maid says that even if it is so, in order to claim that he loves men, there is Lady Atienne. The maid says that there are rumors that in fact Lady Atienne is just a covers. Hearing this, the main character thought that she had been exposed, and she thought that this could not be, because she became interested in who let them in, because she understands that there are completely meaningless rumors circulating in the palace. Lucy brought a lot of books and tells the lady that now she will memorize them, and then says that these are the books that need to be studied today. The young lady looked at the book and thought that there were no pictures, and the letters were tiny, and even if she read them all day long, she would never be able to memorize everything. The lady informs that from 7 o'clock, they will start training dances. Having heard this, the girl was surprised, but she understands that she must do all this in order to survive, and definitely live. The prince asks how the maid is. Madame replies that his Highness should call her his bride. He agrees with her, and then asks how his bride is. Lucy replies that she is doing great, and then asks where he brought such a sweet and beautiful lady from, because she is not guilty and listens to her well, and perhaps in appearance she is a little inferior to the knight Essen. But because of this, it is more interesting to decorate her. The woman claims that this girl is simply charming if dressed correctly, and from morning to evening, she diligently studies the rules of etiquette poetry, singing, dancing, playing instruments, and history, as well as philosophy, and she has many directions. Madame claims that it is not easy to never express reluctance and study so diligently. The prince turns to Diano and asks him what he thinks of Atienne. He replies that he is not sure, but judging by the fact that she gets along well with the people inside the palace, everything is fine, and then asks if he can watch a little longer. At this time, His Highness thought that he needed a little more, and became interested in whether it was possible to try to just leave her alone, and whether it would be possible to survive the ball, which would take place very soon, without incident. Adrian knew that if something went wrong, he would immediately end up married to that crazy woman. He asks if there was any news about Asena. The guy asks how long he should do this. He answers until he becomes emperor. Essen screams and says that he did not become his knight for that. Adrian says that he knows, even though he looks like he is his knight. The young man asks if he has seen a knight in a dress, and the gentleman says that he is the first, and therefore suggests that it be considered an honor. Essen asks if he says this because he wants to die right now from his sword, and thinks that he died before he finishes him off, and then says that he has had enough, and throws off his women's clothes. The prince reflects that he didn't think that this guy would run away like that, and thinks that he should have dealt with him properly then, and also suggests that it's all because of the empress and that girl. Although society thought that Adrian didn't like girls, and it wasn't true because he didn't like all people, perhaps because of those with whom he grew up since childhood, he doesn't want to talk to anyone at all. The others wrote it off to his shyness, but those close to Hadrian knew the truth. The empress was always unhappy with her son, who showed no interest in the lady. All his hatred for people arose because of that girl. But the empress did not understand this at all, and suddenly gave an order, saying that if Adrian did not bring a bride within a week, she would marry him to her. Although the crown prince had many reasons why he avoided that girl, the most important one was this. The 7-year-old girl, because Adrian did not play with her, but was engaged in horseback riding, hid his horse, and after a while it died of hunger. And besides, she completely forgot about her. But despite the prince's questions, the girl answered very coldly, and after that, Adrian began to hate all people, including that girl. Due to his reluctance to marry her, Adrian immediately began to hold balls throughout the week, but as expected, it was impossible, and as a result, the fateful week flew by. And Adrian, no longer knowing what to do, made a desperate decision to dress the knight Essen in a woman's dress. Of course, the latter did not give his consent to such a thing. The prince orders to convey that Essen must be caught. The servant informs His Highness that Albert has arrived from the Grace Palace. Hearing this, he thinks that this is the Empress's palace, and asks to convey that he is not there. Albert, turning to His Highness, informs him that he knows that he is inside, and then informs him that Her Majesty the Empress has given an order. She said that Lady Gabriel has arrived, so he is obliged to attend the tea party. Tierney greets her little sister and asks if she studied much. The girl replies that she does as she pleases. The Marquis says that if she doesn't want to die as she has to, she needs to study hard. The young lady asks in surprise how it's possible to die as she has to. The guy explains that His Highness unfortunately could not come, and he is here instead. And the main character says that unfortunately she is glad about this and thought that it would be good if these two disappeared from her life. Tierney asks his sister why she avoids him and won't come closer. He asks if she is dirty, and then starts whining and saying that she is his only little sister and calls her bad Ati. At this time, the young lady thought that she would not pay attention because she thought that he was behaving inappropriately. Lucy claps her hands and suggests to begin. The young man reminds that she said that he was dirty, and at that time she herself holds his hand, and then the music started playing and they started dancing. The Marquis claims that she is very good at dancing, and Madame smiled and said that she really listens to him, and also wondered where he learned to dance. Atienne explains that it was not long before her family went bankrupt. Hearing this, Madame sighed heavily, and at that time the girl thought that she somehow did not care. And even rather, this situation looked more like a catastrophe. Tierney tells the girl that everything is fine, because their family will never go bankrupt, and she is not alone. He took her hands, and the young lady thought that it would be better to be alone. Lucy suggests that we end the dancing here, and the young gentleman says that he will go and report. At this time, the main character was surprised, because she realized that they had finished dancing only once, and she was sure that they were simply too lazy to teach her. The Marquis asks his sister what she is doing, and then says that she should also go with them. He takes her hand and asks why he is dirty since he washed his hands clean. Adrian thought he had been deceived. The lady with blue hair turns to His Highness and says that she missed him very, very much. The prince reflects that although he forced himself to come because of the Empress's order, he does not need to be here without her presence. Gabriel asks His Highness where he is going, and thinks that he was so embarrassed to see her that he is now hiding. She claims that there is no need for this as she feels the same as he does. His Highness, and then says that he no longer needs to hide his feelings. And at this time, the gentleman thought about the fact that she had been trying to get this girl to stay with him lately, and was thinking about the fact that even in the next few months, even if Mother would call him, he would not agree. The lady with blue hair claims that if he leaves like this, the Empress will be upset, and then says that Her Majesty said to tell him something. Gabriel says that if he is not here when she arrives, he will receive an incredible gift. The prince decides to wait. The girl says that they haven't seen each other for a long time, and thinks that he probably didn't sleep because he missed her so much. And she claims that she did too, and the young man only agrees with her. The lady says that he doesn't have to say anything, because she knows that he missed her. However, he objects, and Gabriel says that they say that a strong denial means the opposite, and he asks if he missed her very much. Suddenly, Ternediano and Etienne came to them. Seeing them, Gabriel does not understand what kind of situation this is. To explain this meeting, we need to go back a little. The Marquise turns to Hadrian and offers to listen, but does not understand where he went. Diano explains that the girl has arrived. Hearing this, the guy with black hair asks, screaming, if she has arrived. He replies that Her Majesty told the Crown Prince that she invited the girl to tea. Turney turns to the main character and informs her that her time has come to attack. The Marquis greets Madame Lucy, and she asks in surprise if the young gentleman has finished reporting. He claims that this is not the problem now, and they say that the girl has appeared, and he believes that it is finally time for their Ati to speak. Madame says that now she understands what is going on, and since Madame Gabrielle has arrived, she believes that Lady Atienne should go there too. And then she explains to the girl that this lady is the famous daughter of the Chancellor. The woman says that Lady Gabrielle is the daughter of the Nobel family, who is friends with the Valerio family, relatives of the Empress on her mother's side. And thanks to this, all of Her Majesty's love goes to one person. Lucy thinks that, as a person, she is so. And at that time, the girl thought that it seemed to her that Madame did not like Gabriel very much. She knew very well that her family had a lot of money, and the Nobel family's business was known even among commoners. The main character knows that, moreover, when her family went bankrupt, their at least somewhat valuable property passed to them. And she now understood that Gabrielle was the daughter of that famous family. Lucy says that although her reputation is not so good, she is popular in noble society. Turney claims that everything is fine because their family is much better, and the woman says that she thinks it's time for them to get ready. Etienne asks in surprise why she replies that, of course, the lady must go to His Highness, the Crown Prince. The girl asks why Madame explains that she is his fiance, and of course, she must take the prince away from Lady Gabriel's. Hearing this, the main character does not understand why she should, because she does not need him, and she would like to tell this lady to take him, and the woman tells her to get up quickly and consider this a rehearsal before the ball. Tierney tells her sister that everything is fine because they are with her, and at this time, she thought that she was just soaring in spirit. Diano asks to wait a minute, and then says that let it be on her, since Essen always went to fate. The Marquis suggests to go quickly, or she will get to him. The main character looked at this girl and thought about what it means that this is her, and she thinks that she interfered with their time together, and that is why she seems to be evaluating her, but doesn't she know that he and these two men saved her life? Diana reports that his sword is left on the parade ground all alone, and most likely he is there crying alone. And Turney says that he suddenly has an urgent matter, because it seems to him that he did not turn off the light in the room. The main character thought that they were traitors because they left, and she felt very uncomfortable at that time. Gabriel turns to the lady and says that they haven't seen each other for a long time. The prince says that she is his fiancée and is very busy. The Duchess reports that Her Majesty the Empress has officially invited her to dinner, and of course His Highness will also join her. The prince replies that he will not be there. Hearing this, the lady is surprised and says that since he is busy, there is nothing to be done, and she hopes that next time she will definitely enjoy dinner. And at that moment, she realized that he did not say that he was busy. The Duchess turns to the maid and says that the tea has cooled down, and orders a new one to be brought. She says that this tea is drunk only with the Nebel family, and that she prepared it especially for His Highness. When the maid brought tea and poured it for her, the mistress drank a little, and then screamed, asking who prepared this tea, and ordered her to leave immediately. At this time, the main character does not understand what suddenly happened to her and why she is behaving this way, because she looks as if there are no problems, and the aroma is pleasant. Gabriel asks the maid if she made this tea, and then claims that these are not the tea leaves she was talking about, and asks if he can pull himself together, and then pours the tea on the maid. Atienne is surprised because she doesn't understand what's happening and then asks what it is. The maid falls to her knees and begs for forgiveness, and the Duchess says that she should do everything appropriate if she doesn't want her family to be thrown out of here. She claims that because of such a maid, her mood has worsened, and she wants to throw her cup. The young lady turns to her and tells her to stop, and then grabs her hand. Gabriel asks in surprise what she is saying. Ati says that she thinks this is too rude a solution to the matter, because she understands that, although the maid made a mistake, the mistress could have behaved magnanimously. The Duchess asks if she means to say that she is not generous, and then claims that she is her personal servant, and asks if it is not up to her to decide what punishment she will suffer. The main character claims that she is not just a maid, but first and foremost a human being. Hearing this, the lady with blue hair asks in surprise what she just said, and the girl repeats that she said that this maid is not only a maid, but first and foremost a human being. Atienne explains that it is normal to scold maids, but turning a blind eye to little things is an indicator of the nobility of a true mistress. Gabriel asks the lady if she wants this maid to serve her, and therefore understands why she patronizes her. Ati explains to the lady that if she had dealt with her not in front of her, she would not have taken part, but it seems that she forgot that His Highness the Crown Prince is here, and then asks if she thinks that she is being rude. Hearing this, Adrian thought that she had said everything correctly and had spoken well, and he realized that this creature could also get angry. Gabriel was different from others from childhood, and apparently she slapped the maids, but sometimes she simply forced them to wear their rags. Adrian didn't like that Gabriel humiliated others, but she didn't touch him, because the Crown Prince was used to this kind of thing. He was only concerned about why this girl did this in front of him. His Highness suggests that we finish for today, because it seems to him that there is already a result. He turns to Gabriel and says that it seems that she is tired today, and therefore it would be better for her to return home. The lady with blue hair asks in surprise what he is talking about, and the gentleman says that he will pass this on to his mother, and therefore escorts her to the exit of the palace. When Gabriella left, the main character looked at the prince and asked for forgiveness, because she thought she had forgotten her place. However, he claims that everything is fine and suggests that she continue in the same spirit. Adrian tells her not to follow anyone's opinion, except his, since he is her master, and her life depends on him. The butler informs His Highness that the Empress is calling him. He says to tell her that he has gone huntings. The man reports that the Empress conveyed that she already knows that he did not go hunting, and is not involved in politics, and does not train in fencing. The prince understands that he has used these excuses very often since that day. The Empress summoned him countless times, but he always came up with something new. Diano screams and says that it is impossible, because very soon His Highness intends to train with him in the art of the sword. And now they were just discussing this topic, and soon they will go to the parade ground, and therefore they sincerely feel sorry in front of the Empress. But he must fulfill his duties. The butler says that he will tell you, so Adrian turns to the boy and says that he is a good boy. And the young man with pink hair asks His Highness if he will train with him. The prince replies that he will not train, and Diano screaming claims that he must do so because the Empress will be informed about it, and then reminds that they have not fought for a whole week. Adrian gives him a paper and says that if he finishes all this in 30 minutes, he will train with him. The guy took the documents and thanked His Highness. At this time, the prince thought that he was an idiot because he couldn't do all this quickly. The main character watching His Highness's training thought about how she was caught and brought right after the end of the lesson, and she realized that he was still good with a sword and could cut off her head in one go. Turney screams and says that he is sorry, because he could have won and missed the chance by making fun of him all his life. And the girl asks in surprise if he is not his assistant. Diano claims that he still can't lose, and all because he does it laughing, but he's in such a good mood, and it's hard to believe that he can feel it so close. Adrian asks the lady what she is doing here. However, Ati remains silent about the Marquise, saying that she is smarter than she seems, and that is why the lessons ended quickly. His Highness says that he thinks they can check this later, and then turns to the lady and suggests that she try to get angry. However, she only shakes her head in response and does not understand what this means. The prince asks if anything brings her discomfort, and then claims that everything does, especially her. The girl objects, and he says that he is glad because he does not need a dissatisfied person. At this time, the main character thought that she didn't even know how many times her life was at stake. Turney says that he had a very hard day today, and Diano agrees with him and says that he had the same, and then says that their crown prince is a very difficult person. The Marquis says that some people spend their entire days following orders, while others are lucky enough to train with a sword. Diano says that of course he loved to death, how persistently His Highness attacked him, but today he was less interested, and thinks that maybe it's because he's too good. The guy asks if he thinks that he just has so-so skills. Hearing this, the main character thought that Turn must be smart enough because he thinks that he is a crazy person if he says so. The Marquis says that his cheeks are burning, and therefore suggests to his friend to leave here quickly. Adi realized that they were the only two left. Adrian asks if she has eaten, and the girl replies that she hasn't yet, and he suggests that she go. The lady asks in surprise where, and His Highness reports that he doesn't like the more ingenious ones either. And then they went to lunch. Sitting at the table, the girl feels uncomfortable, and the gentleman asks if she finds the food tasty. She objects and says that everything is very good, and he asks in surprise why she eats so slowly. Atien explains that she is simply trying such delicious food for the first time. The prince calls the chef, and in a few minutes, there is a table of different food in front of the girl. The young lady wondered if this was some kind of care from the crown prince, and then bowed her head to him and wished him a pleasant meal. The servant turns to His Highness and then whispers something in his ear. The master says he understands and will come later, and the servant says he will pass it on to His Majesty. The prince turns to the girl and says that he will take her there, and at that time, she was surprised because she thought that he would simply tell her to go. Ati apologizes and then asks His Highness if he doesn't have to go. He tells her that she said it right, and the girl asks why. Surprised, Adrian explains that he's afraid she'll run away. Lucy asks the lady what she thinks is on the schedule today. She replies that it's study as always, and the lady objects and says that it's a trip to Grace Palace. Hearing this, the main character was surprised because she realized that this was the Empress's palace, and she wondered if today was the day of her death, and if she had known in advance, she would have slept a little more. However, she believes that she will not get enough air before her death. Atien asks in surprise if she must go. Madame asks why she should talk about such obvious things, since Her Majesty the Empress is waiting for her, and therefore suggests that she go quickly. The girl asks Madame Lucy if His Highness the Crown Prince is also going with her. And at that time, she thought that although he is useless, he thinks that this is better than meeting the Empress alone. Lucy says that Her Majesty, the Empress of Secrets, invited only her mistress, and then claims that it is a great honor. And at this time, the young lady thought that she does not need such an honor. Madame says that they are finally finished, and she is glad that she has such abilities, and then claims that the mistress is incredibly beautiful, and believes that it is all thanks to her golden hands. When the lady came out of her room, she saw the prince, and he asked her where she was going. At that time, the girl remembered that the Empress had called her secretly, and she did not understand whether she could tell about it. His Highness reminds him that he says he hates it when problems are created twice, and then asks again where she is going. The young lady does not know what to answer, and does not understand what is happening to this man today. Lucy greets the Crown Prince and says that the lady is going to meet with Her Majesty, the Empress, who has called Madame Atienne to her. Hearing this, the main character does not understand whether it was possible to tell, and the prince asks if she is going to his mother, and she said that she is. Adrian says that if she says something stupid, he won't leave her alone, and the girl says that she thinks that he will do the same because she doesn't doubt him. His Highness says that he is still worried, and therefore suggests that they go to her and answer only yes to any question. And the young lady agrees with him and says that she is leaving then, and at that time she thought that she needed to run away quickly. The prince turns to the girl and says that she went the wrong way, and then smiles and invites her to follow him. Following His Highness, the girl realized that the patterns on the doors were golden, and she believed that if she tore one off, she could live the remaining years without knowing hunger. Adrian tells her not to block the way, and the young lady asks if he is going to go in. He asks her what she thinks he came here for. Atiye apologizes and then tells His Highness that Her Majesty the Empress only called her, but the guy does not listen to her and opens the door. The Empress greets Lady Atienne, and the main character also greets Her Majesty the Empress. The prince's mother suggests that the girl sit down more comfortably, and when the girl sat down, she thought that she had goosebumps running across her skin. The Empress says that she does not remember inviting the crown prince, and then says that, although he is her son, she cannot lift her head from how ashamed she is for him, and then turns to the girl and says that she has not seen the lady with her for a long time. Ati remembered the prince's words, that she should always answer only yes, and then she says so. Adrian asks why she called her, and the lady replies that she has no business with him. The guy claims that she is his fiance. The Empress was surprised and asked the maid if she heard it too. The maid said that His Majesty the Crown Prince said that this was his bride. The woman reports that she even trembled, and then smiles and says that she never thought that she would ever hear something like that from him. The prince says that if she has nothing to say, he will leave with her right now. Her Majesty says that she thinks it's time to get to the point, and then says that a few days ago, during Lady Gabriel's visit, while she was briefly away on other matters, something happened and asks if she could find out what it was. The young man explains that Ati only stopped Gabriel from beating the maid. The Empress says that now she understands what is going on, and Gabriel kept saying that Lady Atini did not put her in anything, and that is why she was interested in what happened, and therefore she believes that it is nothing serious. The Empress says that even though Gabriel behaved rudely, she hopes that Lady Etienne will not be offended by her, since having learned about this child, one can understand that she is kind. The main character agrees with her again, and at this time, she thought that she was wondering in what place she was kind. Her Highness says that it may be because she has cared for Gabrielle as her own daughter since she was a child, and she has become attached to her, and she will probably clash with her often, but she would like them to remain on good terms as they are now. The Empress says that Adrian and Gabriel grew up together since childhood, so they will continue to meet, and she hopes that Lady Ati will understand them. The girl agrees with her. The woman says that embroidery has become popular lately, and at that time, the main character thought that so much time had passed that she did not remember anything, and did not understand whether she should answer yes to this. The girl reflects on the fact that she has been doing embroidery for so long that she doesn't even remember when it was just like her youth. The Empress says that she would like to see her work someday, and asks the lady if she can expect it. The girl says yes, of course, and at that moment, she thinks that she is finished. The woman says that if she doesn't mind, she asks what she thinks about giving one embroidery to Adrian, and the young lady again agrees with her. The mother asks her son if he doesn't want to get her. The guy agreed, and the main character thought that he doesn't want to because he doesn't need her. Her Majesty says that, although he is her son, he is really very shy, and then says that today is wonderful weather, and it even seems that the sun is too bright. The Empress turns to the lady and says that she is wearing a veil, and therefore thinks that she does not need to worry about getting a tan. One girl again agrees with hers. Her Majesty asks if her son Adrian is a little bad. Hearing this question, she answered yes, but realized that she was mistaken because she thought she was going to answer no. The woman says in surprise that she didn't think she would agree with her, and then asks if her son treats her badly. The young lady agrees with her again, and the lady asks if he irritates her. Etienne replies that yes, and the Empress says that she has no idea why he grew up like this, and then remembers that Hadrian was small and cute, and says that she has such an expression on her face as if she doesn't believe it. And at this time, the main character does not understand how one can believe this, and again agrees with her. The woman says that in childhood, he spoke very kind words and was incredibly sweet, and she really misses those times. And the prince turns to Her Majesty and asks to skip unnecessary conversations. The mother asks if he is embarrassed and wants to call her mommy like in childhood. The guy objects and says that he does not want to. Meanwhile, the young lady realized that the crown prince was kind and sweet in his childhood. The empress asks the lady if she is not comfortable being here, and Ati agrees with her again. Her Majesty, hearing this, says that she knew it, and then claps her hands and says that she likes her sincerity so much. The prince looked at his mother in surprise, and the empress asks why he has such a stern expression on his face, and also wonders if it would be better if they discussed her behind her back. She took the lady's hand and says that it seemed to her that this time she kept her distance, and therefore was a little upset, but she is glad that they took advantage of this opportunity to open up to each other and become closer. The woman turns to her son and says that he is not yet mature, and therefore will most likely often be cold, and then tells the lady to take care of him anyway. Ati agrees with her, and at that time thought that simply by constantly answering yes, she won the trust of the empress. Her Majesty says that she has one request for her, and then says that tomorrow a delegation will arrive from the Sirius Empire to attend her birthday, and her younger sister, Empress Veronica, and Crown Prince Ronan will be there. The woman says that she was thinking about leaving them to her Lady Adi. Hearing this, the guy says that he will do it. Hearing this, the mother was surprised, and the prince says that if she has nothing else to say, then they will go. The empress looked at her son and realized that he was already caring for her, and this made her feel somehow warm. Walking down the corridor, the main character asks what is happening, and the prince wonders if she is asking because he doesn't know. The girl wonders if she did something wrong, and then reminds him that he said to answer only yes. And at that time, she thought that after all, today, the danger of death does not recede either. Turney, hearing this story, smiles and says that Adrian is bad, and that you can go crazy from this. The girl says that if he laughs like that, he will be in trouble. Diano says that His Highness looks so cool with a sword, and at that time, he thought that there was no one normal there. The Marquis asks for a minute, and then tells him not to move, because he is now holding an incredibly important document. The prince tells him not to talk nonsense, but to simply die. Turney says that he found out about the place where the Essen are, and he is the only one who knows where it is, and then asks if he is still going to finish him off. Adrian tells him to say where he is, and the guy says that if he lets him go, he will say it. At this time, the main character thought that he missed a man named Essen so much, and apparently they had true love. His Highness orders him to quickly say where Essina is, now Marquis, explains that he asked so quickly that he doesn't even remember, and then says that he doesn't really know. Adrian tells him to catch this bastard right now and translate, and then says that he will sentence him to death and throw him out. Diano informs His Highness that in fact the information did indeed arrive, but it is inaccurate, and therefore they are checking it. The guy explains that they say that he wears women's clothing, and that's why they couldn't find him, but it seems that they need to expand the search area and include girls. Adrian says that in any case, they should bring him safe and sound, because he can't get hurt anywhere. Diano thinks that he ran away not so long ago, but he already misses the knight Essen, and the prince says that he also misses him a little. On the Empress's birthday, delegations from other countries gathered to congratulate Her Majesty, and one after another arrived at the palace. Her Majesty's birthday was made an official holiday, so the common people were ready to eat and drink, and in honor of the occasion, they held a ball. And outside in the capital, there was a big festival. Etienne thought that at another time she would also go outside and enjoy the festival, but not today. The prince turns to her and tells her not to go anywhere, because it is very noisy inside the palace because of the delegation, so she must be careful and try not to catch anyone's eye. The young lady asks in surprise why, and he says because he doesn't trust her. She asks if everything is not in order inside the palace, and the gentleman says that she must stay only in her room. Adi asks if she cannot go to meet the delegation. He says that she can just sit still, and then asks if she wants to meet the delegation without even learning the basics of becoming the bride of the crown prince, and also asks if she is going to humiliate the Imperial family. The main character says that she obeys and will sit quietly, and then lies down on the bed and says that all her studies for today are over. But since she had a lot of time, she wanted to go to the library. The girl thought that if she quietly went there, then everything would be fine, and no one would see her. Suddenly, the young lady saw the knight Diano and asked in surprise what he was doing here. He replied that they were his family, and usually they lived on their lands, and because they visited the palace on the Empress's birthday, they had just greeted them. A man with pink hair greets Lady Oviedo, and says that he is the Viscount Benedetto Cicinho. And at that time, the girl thought that if he is a viscount, then he is the successor of their family and is the older brother. Benedetto turns to the girl and says that she should say hello. And at this time, the girl Acacia quietly greeted the lady. The guy asks to forgive her younger sister's rudeness. The main character greets her and says that she is glad to meet her. The young man gives the little girl a candy, and she thanks him. And at that time, the main character thought that she would die from her cuteness. The gentleman says that perhaps this is a bit impudent, and then asks where they were going, because he feels that they have wasted Lady Ovieto's precious time. Achin explains that she was just going for a walk, and at that time, she thought that she couldn't say that she was going to study. The little girl turns to her brother and claims that it is her candy, and then asks why he is eating it. He replies that he thought she gave it to him so that he could eat it, and the girl explains that she just gave it to him for a short time to say hello. The lady turns to the baby and calms her down, and then says that she has more candies, and so she can eat them later. She tells the knight, Diano, not to take away and eat the sweets. Ayen turns to the gentleman and suggests that they continue their conversation, and she will go, and then bowed. When the little girl waved her hand, the lady thought that this girl was very nice. The butler reports that the Empress of Sirius, Madame Veronica, and her retinue have arrived. The prince greets the lady and says that they have not seen Her Majesty Empress Veronica for a long time. In response, she suggests that he leave these formalities. Adrian says that his mother is waiting for her inside, and the woman says that she will finally meet her little sister, and although the journey was a little boring, it was worth it. The prince offers her to pass, and the woman asks for a minute, and then asks Ronan how long he intends to stay in the carriage. The guy claims that he won't go, but Veronica says that they have already arrived, and asks if he is going to eat and sleep in the carriage. The Empress looked at the servant, and he understood that he had to take this boy in his arms. And after that, the young master screaming orders to let him go because he thinks it is rude. Ronan asks how he dared to touch a member of the Imperial family, and then says that he will send him to the chopping block, and also asks if he heard the order, and again orders him to be released. At this time, the prince thought that no one would want to mess with such a baby, and the little gentleman asked why he was staring at him. Veronica asks her son if he thinks Sirius is still here, and then tells him that Adrian is his older cousin and the crown prince, and asks what kind of words he's saying to his older brother, and therefore suggests that he apologize quickly. The boy turned his head away, thus showing that he did not want to do this. Adrian claims that everything is fine, and suggests that his aunt quickly go inside, because his mother is waiting for her there. The Empress explains that he is still small and capricious, and therefore she will apologize instead of her son. And the young gentleman claims that everything is fine. Having seen the baby, the Empress says that he has grown a lot, and that he was once the same height as her baby. The guy says that it was a long time ago. Veronica says that in any case, he should take care of her Ronan, and if he doesn't listen, he can hit him several times. The maid is looking for Her Highness Crown Prince Ronan excitedly because he somehow got lost, and she is wondering where he went. At this time, the boy hid in the bushes and watched the maid. Ronan thought that he would not let himself be caught because he believed that he had been playing hide-and-seek for several years and therefore knew how to hide well, and he also wondered if he would be scolded if he was caught. The young gentleman thinks that if they take the guards, he will quickly be caught, and therefore thinks that he needs to go to a deserted place, and then quickly rushes to run away. Suddenly, the boy heard some strange sound, and he became interested because this sound was similar to the voice of an angel. Ronan saw the main character holding a white bird in her hands, and he thought it was an angel. The young gentleman apologizes, and at that moment the bird flew away. He asks if she is an angel or a fairy. Atienne replies that it is neither. Hearing this, the baby cries out and objects, saying that it cannot be. At this time, the main character thought that, in the Imperial family of Affenson, there is no boy of that age, and assumes that maybe he is from the leading family of another country. The girl thinks that the palace where they are staying is in the south, and she is interested, because they could have come to the Poinsettia Palace for a short time. Ronan says in surprise that he will just accidentally meet a lady more beautiful than the light. This is truly a blessing from God, and then asks if she would like to drink some juice with him. The lady thanks him for the invitation, and then says that unfortunately she will have to refuse. Hearing this, the boy cries out and asks why. At this time, the prince comes up to him and replies that it is because she is his bride, and claims that this means he has been hiding here all this time. The young gentleman cries out and says that he is not a baby at all, and orders to let him go. He turns to the angel lady and asks her to help him, because the devil is going to catch him, and therefore asks to scold him. Adrian thinks he is talking nonsense, and then asks the girl what she will do. The lady smiles and asks to be gentle with the child. He agrees with her and says that he will do so. The prince takes the boy on his shoulder and asks if it is soft enough. At this time, the baby screams and orders to let him go and calls him the devil. Adrian agrees with him and then says that today he will be the devil's dinner and therefore considers him a weak man. Ronan looked at the lady and asked to save him, and the gentleman reminds that he already said that the angel is his bride, and then asks the lady if she knows who this kid is. The young gentleman says that he has dropped the crown prince of Sirius. Hearing this, the main character does not understand where the crown prince came from, and she wondered if she said anything wrong. Adrian threw the boy on the floor, and the kid says that the devil dared to separate them from the angel and calls him Satan. The prince asks if everything is okay with his vision. The kid asks in surprise what he is talking about and offers to return him to the lady angel right now. Adrian asks if he should turn him into Sirius, and then says that he will take responsibility for it and send him back. Hearing this, the baby objects and claims that he does not want to, and therefore will stay here where the lady angel is. The prince reminds that not long ago he said that he wanted to return, and Ronan asks if he is a fool, because that was before he saw the angel lady. Tierney entered the room and asked in surprise who this little boy was. His Highness answered that he was the only one, and the little boy screaming asked who else he was. The Marquise came closer to the prince, and then quietly said in his ear that they had found out where Essen was, and then asked what they would do. His Majesty asked who knew about this, and he answered that only he did. His Highness tells him not to tell others, but to quietly catch him and bring him. A small reception to welcome their delegation from Sirius was held in the main hall of Florence Palace. Although it was a light reception for the members of the Imperial family, all the high-ranking aristocrats were present, and of course that Gabrielle was among them. As soon as Adrian heard that she was there, he immediately took the viola with him. The girl asks if she can go, and he claims that she shouldn't think about it too seriously because he doesn't expect anything from her, so he can leave after he calmly stands there. Atienne asks in surprise if it won't be a little dangerous, and the prince explains that it doesn't matter since it's just a family party. When the main character saw a lot of people, she was surprised because he said that it was a simple party, but as it turned out, it was not at all like that. Adrian turns to Her Majesty the Empress and his aunt, and then asks for forgiveness for being late. He explains that it is simply because his bride is very shy, and at this time, the main character thought that if she moved incorrectly, it would be the end for her, and therefore she believed that she needed to pull herself together. Atienne asks for forgiveness for being late, and the Empress smiles and says that everything is fine, and then tells her sister that this child will become her daughter-in-law, and asks if she is not graceful. At this time, Veronica thought that this girl was brought by a guy who seemed to be alone all his life, and then said that he thought they would become a wonderful married couple. The prince asks where Mary is, and Her Majesty smiles, and then explains that she said that she had a headache and left only recently because she believes that she suffers so much that even when Gabrielle spoke to her, she was never able to answer her, and at that time she thought that maybe she just didn't want to. Adrian thought that the emperor also did not come, and since they showed their faces, he thinks that it will be possible to leave after they stay there for a little while. Ronan ran up to the main character and then hugged her. Atienne tells His Highness the Crown Prince that she is glad to see him, and the baby says that because of this, he feels distance and asks to just call him by his name. The lady objects and says that she can't, because it's against the rules. The Empress tells her not to worry about it, because now they are literally family. Empress Veronica believes that they are not strangers either, and therefore claims that everything is fine, and then turns to her son and asks him not to be rude to the future wife of the Crown Prince. The boy turns to the lady and calls her sister, and then says that he missed her, and also asks if she missed him too. Atienne reminds that they met during the day, and the boy claims that this is why he missed her even more. Ronan takes the lady by the hands and asks her to go play in the other direction. The prince asks for forgiveness and then takes his leave. The kid asks his sister if she has ever been to the Sirius Empire. She replies that she hasn't been because she hasn't traveled abroad. He says that if he comes back later, he will definitely show her the Imperial Palace. At this time, the prince was watching the main character, and when she saw him, she thought that she should not create problems. Atian says that he thinks she will never have the chance to go there, but if she ever does go, she will count on him. Suddenly, the main character heard that the music had changed, and the baby asked if she would dance with him. When the lady looked back, she saw the prince who was looking at her very angrily. The lady apologizes and then explains that it will be difficult for her to do this today, and therefore offers to dance later, if such an opportunity arises. Ronan, upset, says that he wanted to dance today, and then says that next time she must definitely dance with him and asks if she understood, and therefore asks for a promise. Atienne touched the boy with her little finger to his and promised to do so. The little boy asks his sister what gifts she likes, and she replies that she likes a long life because she thinks it is something incredibly valuable. The prince touched the lady's shoulder and invited her to go aside, and he did not understand why she was so surprised. When they went outside, the main character turned around and saw Diane. He explains that he saw her coming here and followed her, and Acacia was with him. The prince says that he is a good man if he did so, and the little girl greeted His Highness, the Crown Prince. Diano apologizes for the fact that his brother left, and he had to look after the little girl. And the gentleman claims that everything is fine, and suggests that they stay here. The main character greeted the little girl and asked if she had met her before. The girl said that she didn't think that the lady wouldn't recognize her. Atienne asks the young lady if she likes the reception. She replies that it is a little difficult, but everything is fine, and the girl says that if it is too difficult for her, then let her tell her about it at any time. Acacia agrees with her and asks to speak to her informally. The main character asks if she can then call her just Acacia, and at that time thought that she always wanted to have such a cute little sister. Ronan, hearing this, went up to the main character and asked her to speak informally with him too. He looked at the pink-haired girl and asked why she didn't greet him. Acacia apologized and greeted His Highness Crown Prince Ronan. At this time, he thought about how he was going to make sure that his little sister was only his. And the little girl is thinking about the fact that there is some strange boy next to her little sister. The boys took the lady by the hands, and at that time, the prince watching them says that they are funny kids. The boy tells the lady that he will also call her Ati. She claims that she doesn't care. Acacia says that she will also call her sister Ati. Then the boy screams and says that he is friends with Ati and tells the girl to leave. The pink-haired girl claims that they didn't seem all that friendly. Upon hearing this, Diano apologizes and explains that his sister isn't like that. The prince says that everything is fine, and therefore offers to leave them, and then he goes to Atienne and takes her hand and offers to quietly follow him. Acacia suggests the young master to ask his sister Ati, with whom she is closer friends. But when they looked in the other direction, they only saw the knight Diano. The girl asks her brother where her sister Ati is, and the boy thought that that clever devil took her. At this time, the prince thought that he felt so cheerful and invited the lady to look at the stars in the sky, because he thought they were very beautiful. The main character agrees with him, and at that time he thought that it seemed to him that he was seeing her smile like that for the first time, and considered her beautiful. Atienne says that His Highness is now in a good mood, because some time ago he was still angry all the time. The girl looked at the gentleman in surprise, and said that she said something she shouldn't have, and therefore asks for forgiveness. He objects and tells her not to apologize, and asks her to just hold out until his mother's birthday. Adrian asks if she knew where Essen was, and then says that he will let her live. Lucy claims that she really is getting better day by day. Hearing this, the main character is surprised, and asks if it is true, and thinks that after hearing that, he will leave her alive. She continued to hold on every day. Madame believes that she still has a long way to go, and therefore suggests trying to smile a little more mysteriously. The young lady smiled and asked if it would be okay. The woman said it wasn't enough yet, and therefore suggested making it more mysterious and a little more elegant. Lucy says that she is very sorry, because she thought that today the girl would succeed, and then offers to look at her because that is how you need to smile. Etienne looked at the madam, and she does not understand how it is possible to make such an expression on her face, and the woman claims that a skilled noble lady should be able to share her opinion with one smile, and therefore she needs a look that can recognize such a smile. Lucy explains that noble society is a battlefield where it is easy to deceive other people's feelings. But at this time, the main character does not understand whether she will succeed. Diana reports that Acacia wants to meet with Mrs. Atty, Madame, suggests that they rest for about half an hour. The main character asks to tell the little girl that, if she waits just a little bit, she will come to her. Lucy tells the lady that she thinks she loves children very much, and therefore thinks that loving children is very good. But she had better be careful, because little children are very sharp. Acacia, when she saw the main character, she said that she missed her very much, and the lady said that she did too. And at that time, she thought that this girl was very cute. Ronan asks if she missed him. Seeing him, the lady asks where he came from, and the guy claims that he did not hear her answer. Etienne reminds him that he should call her sister, but the boy again reminds him of the question he asked. The little girl says that her sister couldn't miss him, and he says that he doesn't want to hear her answer. Acacia explains that she just said it for her, because she thinks that her sister is kind, and so out of politeness she will say that she missed him, and she feels the same way, so she can find out. Ronan asks the little girl if she wants to say that she missed him a lot, and the girl with pink hair screams and says, "No way!" At this time, the main character thought that at first she thought that they liked each other, but now she knows for sure that these are just childish quarrels of future friends. The lady asks the boys if they have become friends. Hearing this, the boy objects and asks who would be friends with such a little girl. And the girl wonders who would be talking, and at that time thought about stopping there. Etienne tells the children that she brought cookies for them and asks who wants to try them. Hearing this, the children want to eat them, and the lady says that she has a lot of them, and so they can take as many as they want. The main character looked at the boys and wondered if she would feel the same if her youngest were alive. And then she asks if the cookie is tasty. Ronan says that they are too sweet, and so he normally wouldn't eat them, and then claims that they are quite tasty because Ati gave them to him, and he took them again. The lady thought about what he liked. The little girl with pink hair asks her sister if she likes His Highness the Crown Prince. At this time, the main character does not know what to tell her, because she does not like him, and then she says that His Highness is sensitive. And then she tells the little girl that she thinks that the most important thing is to pay attention to the character of men, or for example, to humanity. Acacia says that she understood what she should pay attention to, because she believes that this is valuable advice that she was given for the first time. In the evening lying in bed, Ronan says that it is somehow strange, because they almost never meet, and thought that, as a result of his observations over several days, basically only Terni and Diano are looking for Ati. The boy thought that if he loved her, he didn't understand why he didn't even come to her, because he missed her so much every day, that it seemed to him that he would die from it. Mother says that this is a terrible plan, and asks what he is building again. The kid explains what is really going on. And at this time, the main character standing with the prince does not understand why they were suddenly called. The empress says that she heard an incredibly sad story, and the prince asks what kind of nonsense she heard again. The mother claims that he speaks very rudely, and then reports that she was told that they had a fight. Adrian asks if she did something wrong again, and the main character claims that she did nothing. The empress reports that many people say that the future bride and her groom look very gloomy, and she was proud of them, but among people who consider marriage just a business, they will become a couple who sincerely love and care for each other. Her Majesty says that she and her husband loved each other and got married without paying attention to their families, and it was like a miracle, so she was glad that he, Adrian, also found his other half, and she was going to accept any person as long as he loved him. The young gentleman asks what she wants to say, and the mother explains that they say that they walk without holding hands, and also asks if they kissed. Hearing this, the main character does not understand what to do, and she would like him to say at least something, because she believes that if this continues, she will die. And then, screaming, she claims that they kissed. Etienne looked at the prince and quietly asked how he could be surprised, and therefore told him to nod quickly as if that was the case. The girl explains that, of course, they kissed, and just did it in a place where no one saw them, and the young man asks how they can show this to others. The empress says that she didn't know, and the young lady explains that she is very shy and keeps a certain distance from His Highness in public, and that's probably why such a misunderstanding arose. Etienne states that she would like to maintain her status as the crown prince's bride upon hearing this. Her Highness states that these are very commendable thoughts, and at that time she thought that she is usually so scared that she constantly shakes. After talking with his mother, the prince asks when they kissed. The lady replies that of course never, and then explains that Her Majesty the Empress was simply worried and asks if she did something wrong. The young lady looked at the prince and thought that he had that face again, and she usually wouldn't even pay attention to such a lie, but she doesn't understand why she continues to think about it. Adrian asks if she has ever kissed someone. She replies that she has not had her first kiss yet. Hearing this, he is surprised, and then says that he will take her to Lily's palace. The prince extended his hand to the girl and asked if she would take it. And at that time, the lady thought that since she even heard this, it means that she is not worried in vain, and remembers that a little earlier it was the same, and it seems difficult for her and easy for His Highness, and most likely he took her hand without any feelings. The girl thought about what she hated, that she had hopes, even knowing that they were futile. She apologized and asked why His Highness hated Lady Gabrielle. Adrian asks if she means to say that she doesn't know, even after seeing her. She says that she thought he had another reason. The guy explains that the girl is cruel, selfish, and doesn't think about anyone except herself, and therefore doesn't worry about the death of others, and also believes that others are no different from Gabrielle. And at this time, the main character thought that he loved another person, and did not understand why she was upset, and then said that she hoped that he would soon find his bride. Adrian thought about how she didn't like replacing him so much, and the girl asked in surprise if she said something wrong, because she didn't understand why it ruined her mood so much. Lucy announces that today they will study the rules of etiquette during tea drinking, because this is the main, and at the same time, very difficult place in noble society. The woman explains that usually during tea parties, there are lines of personal relationships, and according to them, people drink tea in a certain way and exchange information, and the most important thing is that the line. But suddenly, Lady Gabrielle comes up to them and greets them. Lucy asks why she came to Lily's palace, since she knows that one cannot just enter here without an invitation. Gabrielle explains that she received permission from His Majesty the Empress and came because she needed to tell them something. Adi asks in surprise, "What is this?" And the lady with blue hair explains that she heard an unpleasant rumor in the palace, because they say that the two of them have not had a very good relationship lately, and asks if this is true. At this time, the main character realized that she came here to hurt her with this, and then objects, and says that of course not. Gabriel argues that there is no need to pretend that everything is not so, but the main character objects and claims that this is not true. Suddenly, the prince came up to them and asked what was going on, and Gabriel asked His Highness if he had come here to meet her. Adrian replies that this is not true at all. Adi turns to the guest and asks if she can stay here for so long, and it seems that she has nothing to do. The lady with blue hair claims that everyone is looking for her, and she is always busy, and then says that it is already so late, and she needs to leave, but next time she will stay longer. And at this time, Etienne thought that rumors about their distance had spread so widely, and she could not stand it when they did not respect her, because initially she was a maid, but Etienne was not. The main character thought that Etienne is the bride of the crown prince, and she must return this place to this man before Gabriel leaves. And then she turns to the prince and tells him to kiss her quickly. His Highness was surprised and said that she said that this was her first kiss, and the girl claims that everything is fine, and then he kisses her on the lips. At this time, the young gentleman thought that he was definitely just going to pretend, and he did not understand why no one warned him that kissing was so pleasant. When Lady Gabriella saw them, she thought that her Adrian was kissing another girl, and she didn't understand how this bastard dared to touch her man, and therefore she would definitely make her regret it. The main character watched the maids and thought that they were probably talking about their kiss, and she wondered if all kisses were pleasant, or if they were like that because the crown prince was good. Lucy turns to the lady and asks if she has forgotten that the Empress's birthday celebration is just around the corner, and that henceforth she must begin to spend her days in a more strict environment. The woman claims that this is an important event where there will be many foreign delegations, and it is obvious that she must be so beautiful that everyone will fall in love with her. Adi asks if it is possible to do this. Hearing this, the lady cries out and asks what she is talking about, and asserts that, of course, it is possible. Lucy says that here are all the prepared dresses that were made to special order for Lady Ati, and at that time, she thought that she had not dressed up anyone other than Mr. Essen for a long time. The lady says that today, they will choose dresses tomorrow, accessories, and the day after tomorrow, a fan and shoes. And at this time, the girl thought that she probably won't be able to come to her senses at all. On the day of the birthday celebration, Lucy looked at the girl and said that she knew it and was not mistaken after all, and then asked the lady if she liked it. The girl says that it seems to her that it is not she, but the woman who reminds her that she said that the young lady would be incredibly beautiful, and therefore suggests going and conquering everyone there. Etienne reports that there must be many beautiful ladies in the hall besides her. Upon hearing this, the woman is surprised and asks if she trusts her skills, and then says that if it is difficult for her to adapt, she asks how about asking His Highness. The Crown Prince looked at the lady, and she asked in surprise what it was, and he said that she looked good. At that time, the girl was a little disappointed, because she had prepared so hard, and that was all. Turney turns to Ati and asks if she is done with the preparations, and then claims that she is so beautiful and did not even think that it was her. Adrian hugs the girl by the shoulder and tells the guy to take his hands off her. The Marquis says that you can only look at how he cares for his partner. The gentleman tells him to stop talking nonsense and not to stand in his way. The guy says that he has already left and wishes them a good time. At this time, the young lady thought that this day had finally come, and if she did well, she would live. The butler announces that the stars of the Empire, His Highness Crown Prince Adrian, and the future Crown Princess, His Highness's bride, Lady Oviedo, have arrived. The young gentleman took the girl by the hand and told her to go with him, because everything would be fine, and she had diligently prepared for this. The main character looked at the man and thought that the most important person among those she had to deceive today was the Emperor of the Apennines, Karl Roman. The Empress suggests that they go through this because there is an empty place for them, and at that time, she thought that these two are as sweet as always, and then turns to the girl and claims that she is beautiful today. Ati thanks Her Majesty and thought about the fact that the Empress said only a word, but such greatness is felt, and the Emperor only silently watched them, but then said that he saw them, and they can go and also let them get married as soon as possible as the Empress wishes. The main character reflects on how she was so nervous, but is glad that everything went without incident. The prince says that they are deviating, and the mother claims that she does not know what happened between them, but they look much better than before. Etienne thanked, and the Empress wished them a good time. At this time, the girl thought that she had survived and had not been exposed and was still alive. The prince turns to the lady and suggests that she try hard. The aunt turns to him and says that they haven't seen each other for a long time and asks if they chewed well. Ronan turns to Ati and tells her to come dance with him. Hearing this, the girl is confused, and he claims that she promised to dance with him next time. Veronica turns to her son and asks if he will go somewhere with her, because they need to congratulate their sister on her birthday. And at this time, the main character thought that in fact, she couldn't relax at all, and she was already so tired. But this was only the beginning. Suddenly, Ati saw Princess Marie, who came up to her brother and greeted the two of them. He suggests that they leave the formalities and asks what happened. The princess claims that her brother has been ignoring all her messages these days, but he objects and says that he has not ignored them. Marie reminds him that she asked him when one of her maids went missing. Adrian asks in surprise if they have to talk about it here and now. The princess says that she will then visit the Poinsettia Palace later, and hopes that he will honor her with his attention, and wishes her sister a good evening. At this time, the main character thought that she didn't understand, and the prince thought that if she understood, then he had to get rid of her. The girl thinks that she is like on the edge of an abyss, and the only good thing is that while Adrian is next to her, people do not approach her, although they are whispering all around. Atienne heard talk about how she was taller, and the gentleman thought she was shorter than before. The young lady thought about how she had deliberately put on high-heeled shoes, and she wondered if she would be found out like that. The girl thinks about how she needs to continue to hold on like this, and the prince turns to her and tells her to look at the floor. Turney addresses Ati, and the prince tells her to pretend she doesn't know them. The guy approaches the lady and asks why she is avoiding him. The girl replies that it is because he walked straight through the center of the dance floor. However, the main character became interested in who the person was with whom he came. The prince turns to the Marquis of Oviedo and says that they have not seen each other for a long time. At this time, the main character realized that he is Terney's father, and this means that he is her father. The guy with dark hair tells the girl to call him Dad, and at this time, she thought about what he tells her to call him Dad. The gentlemen who were watching the girl thought that she did not have a very good relationship with her father, and the prince said that if she did not do as she was supposed to, she would die. The young lady hugs the man and calls him Daddy, and then screams and says that they haven't seen each other for a long time, and she missed him. The Marquis says that looking at her, she has lost even more weight, and the girl claims that she is very exhausted, but suddenly realized that she said the wrong thing, and then says that she is trying very well, and at that time, she thought that everyone was looking at them. Suddenly, the prince took the lady by the hand, and at that moment, Lady Gabriel arrived with her father, who approached the Marquis and greeted him. The main character understands that His Highness is still watching her. And Gabriel turns to the prince and says that he still can't take his eyes off her, and such a passionate look confuses her. The blue-haired lady turns to Mr. Turney and says that there is no point in looking at her like that, since she only has His Highness in her heart. Hearing this, the guy thought that he could not believe that she made the prince, and Turney makes such serious faces. Adrian tells the girl that he thinks her legs hurt because she stood for a long time, and then says that for the sake of his bride, they need to change places quickly, and thinks that, of course, this is right, and then turns to Mr. Chancellor and suggests that they meet again next time. Diano turns to His Highness and claims that he has been looking for him for a long time, and the master says that he is just in time and asks him to make a displeased face and rot all the watching people. At this time, the main character thought that it had become quieter now, but suddenly, she saw a girl with blue hair and realized that she had followed them here. Gabriella says that she also came to rest, and then turns to the lady and asks what gift she has prepared for the birthday of Her Majesty the Empress. Ati remembered Terney's words, that their family would take care of the gift and give it on her behalf, and Adrian would also give them along with her, and therefore she didn't need to worry about anything, and everything would be fine. The young lady reports that this time she prepared together with His Highness the Crown Prince, and later planned to present the gift to the Empress separately. Gabriella says that no matter how rare her gift is, she is sure that it will be nothing compared to hers. And at this time, the prince watching the lady says that he has not seen Gabriel making such a face for a long time. The lady with blue hair says that nothing can be done, and since she is so interested, she will have to tell. And at this time, the girl thought that she did not say anything. The Duchess reports that the gift she has prepared is the work of the Master Virgin, and it is a set of plates, and she must know that all his works have been sold, and they are difficult to obtain. Gabriella reports that Her Majesty has a hobby of collecting plates, and among them, she especially loves the works of Virgin. And at this time, the main character thought that it was strange, because she was sure that she was seeing these plates for the first time, but she had the feeling that she had often seen them somewhere. The Duchess claims that getting these plates is nothing but luck. Hearing this, the prince suggests that Ati ignore her. Gabriel turns to His Highness and says that in the future, she will be his partner in the first dance. And at this time, he turns to the girl and asks if she will give him her first dance. And at this time, the main character looked at the lady with blue hair and thought that she would not cry. And Gabriella said that he took such good care of her that she was afraid that he would be jealous of other ladies. Hearing this, the young lady does not understand what is going on in the head of this duchess. The lady with blue hair claims that he who laughs last laughs best, and then left smiling. Adrian asks the girl if she laughed, and Ati answered that no. And then music began to play in the hall, and the prince and the girl began to dance. The main character thought that I didn't want to stand in the center, but everyone steps aside and gives them space to dance. She understands that she can't make a mistake and can't make a mistake. His Highness turns to the girl and suggests that she relax a little. And at that time, she thought about what she remembered about her first lessons, because then she always stepped on her dad and younger brother's feet. Suddenly, the lady realized that she had stepped on the prince's foot and considered herself stupid because she had danced perfectly during practice. Diano turns to His Highness and says that he just needed to report to him that Princess Marie had just returned to the palace, and Her Majesty the Empress was still in her place. At this time, the main character thought that it seemed they forgot that she had stepped on his foot a little earlier. Diano reports that Turney said that he would go see off the Marquis of Ephesus. The prince turns to the lady and says that they will also go, hearing this. She does not understand how it is possible to just up and leave. As she was going down the stairs, the girl thought that she had put on such high heels and even danced in them, and that was why her feet hurt a lot. Adrian saw that the girl was having a hard time walking, and he didn't think twice, and picked her up and asked if she could walk. The lady said that she thought she had sprained her ankle, and the gentleman thought that it was not surprising that she had run out of strength because of walking in such high heels, and thought that she was overtired. At this time, the main character does not understand why she feels something like this, because she believes that she was enchanted by a mirage, because she has the feeling that she cannot even breathe. The girl thought that if she did this, he would probably disappear. The prince was surprised because suddenly he did not see the girl and thought that he was possessed by a ghost. Atienne doesn't understand what's wrong with him because he's acting strangely and thinks that maybe he didn't like something today. However, he remembers that she tried hard and then turns to His Highness and says that he thinks it's time for them to go back. Hearing this, the prince thought that she was not feeling well, and then he took her in his arms and offered to go. But at that time, it seemed to the girl that she would die after all. Terry asks Diano, "What's wrong with His Highness?" And maybe he knows. He replies that he has no idea and thinks that maybe it's because of that ball, and then wonders if it didn't end well, since Her Majesty the Empress and the other aristocrats didn't say anything, and no one could guess that it wasn't Essen. Diano asks the guy how the search for Essen is going. He replies that they are looking for him, but all in vain, and every trace of him is a decoy. The gentleman with pink hair thinks that he is a neat little bastard, and he wonders if he is going to be on the run for the rest of his life. But he thinks that someday he will turn around. Turney says that since they have finished all the work, he suggests leaving here. At this time, the prince is thinking that he feels somehow strange, and when he closes his eyes, he again sees the moment in which the girl was imprinted, and he has a feeling as if he is still standing in place. The young gentleman does not understand what is wrong with him. The next morning, when the main character woke up, she didn't understand what she should do now. Lady Lucy enters the room and tells the lady to get up quickly. The girl apologizes and asks when she will finish playing the bride, and the lady replies that, of course, when the knight Essen returns, and then assures that she cannot wait for the knight Essen. Madame suggests that she take advantage of this opportunity and seduce the crown prince since she can become a real bride, and then asks how she likes this idea. Atienne, surprised, asks if she is telling her to die. Lucy smiles and asks where she has seen such a kind person as His Highness. Lying in the bath, the main character thought that perhaps His Highness was a little kind, and then lost in her thoughts, she headed towards him. The prince looked at Atai with embarrassment, and then said that her clothes. Hearing this, the girl realized that she was dressed in transparent clothes, and then asked her to forgive him and left. Within a few minutes, the young lady apologizes and asks for forgiveness for making him wait, and at that time looked at the expression on his face, which was even more terrible than before. The prince came closer to her and looked into her eyes, and then turned around abruptly and left the room. At this time, the main character does not understand what it was, and thinks that she was at gunpoint. Adrian tells the doctor that he has been seeing all sorts of weird things lately, and he asks if he is okay. The man thinks that he may be under a lot of stress, and that it would be better to reduce the load and rest. Hearing this, the prince thought that if he could get better from rest, he would not even ask, and then he tells the doctor that it does not matter, and tells him to leave. His Highness is thinking that if he continues to watch her, he will probably get at least some kind of answer, because she was a servant. When Lucy saw the prince, she was surprised, and asked what he was doing here, and also wondered if he had come to see their mistress Atienne, and asked if he finally liked her. And the prince wonders in surprise what kind of nonsense this is. And she says, and the lady wonders why he is so embarrassed, and when he is planning to have the wedding. And she thinks that it would be better to do it in the warm and beautiful summer. At this time, the young master does not understand what the hell a wedding is, because he did not intend to get married from the very beginning, even after becoming emperors. Madame thinks it would be better to spend it in nature, and she is too excited at the thought. And then she asks, what is wrong with her cutie crown prince? Hearing this, the gentleman realized that she still had not forgotten this nickname, and the woman explains that it conveys all her love for him. Adrian says that he is interested in something, and it concerns Atier, then asks what she did to her face that day at the birthday celebration. Lucy says that this means that their prince fell in love with the lady's appearance, and he objects and claims that this is not true at all. And the woman says that he is embarrassed again. The prince claims that it doesn't matter, and so he leaves. Madame explains that it's all the lady's beauty, and she just did a little magic. And then she says that, if you look at the lady on the sly, she might seem ordinary and believes that the lady is a human canvas who is just waiting to be made into a masterpiece. The woman claims that no matter what color you wear, it suits her, and she shines even more. And the gentleman says that even this way, Essen is more beautiful. Lucy thinks that of course their appearance cannot be compared, and Mr. Essen was the most beautiful man in Affinino. And at this time, the guy thought that she was saying everything right, but did not understand why he was disgusted by it. The woman says that it is necessary to dress Lady Adian very well, because she feels benefit from it, and therefore she is even more pleased. Adrian says that he is glad that she says so, and will count on her in the future, and the lady asks to just leave it to her. Etienne greeted His Highness the Crown Prince, and at this time she can't believe that she reads him so sweet. He tells her to go out the door for a while, and in a few minutes he tells her to come back, and the girl does everything he tells her. The prince thought that she was a cutie and offered her to move. She sat on the windowsill, and he at this time does not understand why, but it happens. The lady turns to His Highness, and at that time he thought that she was just like a little chick. When Tierney saw the gentleman, he did not understand what was wrong with him and why he was like this. And then he told the girl that he thought she would soon die. He suggested that she think about how Adriani had been behaving lately. The frightened lady says that he suddenly came into the room and glared, and then stood in the grass and glared, and at each meeting he sighed deeply. And at that time she thought that if he was somehow unhappy with her, then she could just say so because she does not understand why he only glares at her and leaves. Diano thinks that there will be an escape after all, but he thinks it's a bit strange. Tierney says that he also sees that idiot behaving like that for the first time, and thinks that there can't be a mistake because he's gone crazy with anger. The Marquis asks, how serious is it that he should behave like this for several days? The young lady suggests that he stops it, and then asks what she must do to survive. The guys simultaneously say that it is an escape after all, and she became interested in whether there is really another way. Tierney says that he went and suggests that she try anyway. The main character thought that he was a bastard brother, and was sure that he just came to eat the local cookies. Atienne wonders if she really said it was close, and remembers that Lucy said that every time they went to the backyard to visit the front one, and she thinks that if it doesn't take too much time, then everything will be fine. The main character does not understand where the garden is, because she walked straight as the madam told her, but she never saw the garden. The girl thought about going up and asking for directions back, but suddenly she saw the prince talking to the lady, and she hid and peeped, because she didn't understand why there was such an atmosphere. The stranger says that she likes Mr. Michael, and at that time the main character thought that she accidentally witnessed the confession, and therefore thinks that she just needs to quietly leave there. The lady asks why he doesn't answer, and asks him to accept her feelings. Ati looked at the gentleman, and it seemed to her that she understood why the girl fell in love with him. Atienne saw that this guy just looked in that direction, and she wondered why he was walking towards her. The lady screams and says that she doesn't like him. And hearing this, the guy asks in surprise what she is talking about, because it seems to him that she misunderstood him. But he became interested in whether they will be able to meet again and asks about it. Mikhail reports to the prince on the report from the delegation sent, this time, Adrian says that the distance is very long, and therefore thinks that they suffered while riding back and forth, but thinks that they did a good job. The gentleman thanks His Majesty, and the gentleman says that since he returned today, he could rest for a day and provide a report after that. Hearing this, Mikhail thought that he usually orders everyone to leave immediately after the conversation, and then says that it would be better for him to rest more calmly after completing the work, and thank His Majesty for his concern. The prince says that he can go, then when the guy left, he thought that, although this is a small change, he said watching the expression on his face, because more than 5 months have passed since his departure with the delegation to another country, and he does not understand what has changed during this time. The young gentleman believes that if Gabriel finds out, he will obviously make a big fuss because she won't like it. Marie asks if this isn't love, and the guy is surprised and asks what kind of nonsense she's talking about. Adi asks what kind of horse is this that made him like this, because he knows that he always suffers when a horse appears that he wants to make his own. The princess asks what she is like this time, and is he really talking about the horse-popter that he wanted to take with him, but it died. Hearing this, the prince thought that he had behaved the same way when he wanted a horse. The lady wondered if there was anything other than horses that he could treat like that. Adrian tells her to shut her mouth, and hearing this, the lady asks why really, and what does he want again. And at this time, he thinks about the fact that he needs time to think. The princess reminds her brother that she is asking, and also wondering if he is listening to her, and then insists that he return her maid. Marie claims that he ignores her every time the conversation turns to her, and then asks if he has fallen in love with her maid. At this time, the empress comes to them and asks why her son and daughter are waiting for her so calmly. The girl tells her mother that she thinks that her brother is again carried away by the new horse, and he says that he suffers all day because of it, and remembers and suffers from side to side, and therefore she is sure that her brother is talking about the new horse. The mother turns to her son and says that there are already 2,000 horses in the stables, and she thinks that he might be there, and she doesn't even remember some of them, and then asks what other new horse there is. Adrian objects and assures that this is not true at all. Hearing this, the princess asks how else it could not be true, and then reminds him that he says that he thinks about her all day long and considers it love fever. Her Highness agrees with her daughter and claims that she is right in saying that he does not ride all of his favorite horses, and therefore invites him to know the measure. The prince claims that this is not so, and then says that he will leave first. The empress asks if he is really suffering so much, and thinks that he must have really found a horse that he likes. Adrian thought that all this happened because of Essen's escape, and understands that if he returns, the strange phenomenon will disappear, and therefore he must definitely catch him. At this time, the main character thought that today she was able to reach the garden, but got lost inside it, because no matter how much she walked, she always ends up in the same place, and therefore thinks that it would be good to meet at least someone. Suddenly, the girl saw a silhouette of a man and asked him to show her the way back. Well, when she came closer, she realized that it was the same man who was there yesterday, because she was worried that he would notice that she was an Aetni. The main character thought that she simply had to go back the way she came. The young lady saw the guy and thought that she was going in the opposite direction, but somehow realized that it was not here, and then she started running but suddenly stumbled. The gentleman caught the girl in time and asked if she was okay. Ati thanked him and assured him that everything was fine, and at that moment she realized that the veil was gone, and she wondered where it had fallen. Atian suggests that maybe everything will be okay, since he doesn't yet know that she is the crown prince's bride. The girl asks if she can ask him for directions back, and the gentleman asks where she is going. The lady explains that she wants to go to Lily's palace. Mikhail says that he will take her. A few minutes later, the girl saw a familiar road and realized that now she was saved, and then thanked him for taking her. Mr. says that she can call him Mikhail, but suddenly the maid calls the mistress and asks where she disappeared to so suddenly. The gentleman says that they will see each other again, and then leaves. At this time, the main character thought that they will no longer have reasons to meet, and therefore thinks that it probably does not matter. Tierney asks his sister if something is bothering her. She replies that she wants to personally present a gift to Her Majesty the Empress, and asks if she would like it if she gave her a plate. Hearing this, the guy tells her not to even think about doing this because Her Majesty has incredibly high standards and believes that everything will be useless unless she is at the level of Master Verchain. And you claim that there is no need to worry about it. Tierney is surprised and asks what kind of self-confidence she has. The girl says that she needs to leave the castle for a while and asks if he thinks His Majesty will allow it. He replies that he thinks not, and the lady at this time thought that most likely yes, she needed to find a gift to give to the empress. The Marquise turns to the girl and tells her to raise her head, and then asks who she thinks he is. La thought that he is a fool, and Tierney says that he is her brother, who will take responsibility and take her outside, and then suggests that they quickly get ready. Ati looked into the yard where the carriage was and asked if it was possible to go so far. The guy answered that, of course it means that of course it is not possible. The main character says that she is not joking because she thinks that Adrian can finish her off, and then she says that as soon as she returns, she will immediately kneel and beg for forgiveness. Hearing this, the guy asks in surprise if she has any pride, and the lady quickly answers that she does not. He says that he does too, and therefore suggests praying together. Atian knows that they have already left the castle and understands that there is nothing to be done now, and therefore she must finish as soon as possible and return. The girl showed the house and said that it was here. And the young gentleman said in surprise that it was the region of Rentry and the place of residence of commoners, and then in surprise asked why they came here. She answered that she had business here. Tierney wonders if they have come to buy a gift for Her Majesty the Empress. She suggests that they follow her first. The Marquis came to the door and asked if this was a barn, and he did not understand if it was possible to live there. The lady knocks on the door, and he says that it seems to him that no one lives here. The main character objects, and at that time she thought that most likely at this time he should wake up. The guy asks if there is any point in knocking on the door like that, and then says that her brother will show her an incredible way to knock. Suddenly, the door opens and a bald man screams and asks, "What the hell kind of scum is banging on the front door of someone else's house in broad daylight?" At this time, the girl looked at him and found out that he was Uncle Helmer, and then he invited them into the house. The main character tells her uncle that they haven't seen each other for a long time, and then asks if he continues to drink a lot. The man says that his neighbor Hans constantly whines about how he has no one to drink with, and therefore thinks that he did something wrong. Uncle says that he heard that she became a servant at the Imperial Palace, and asks how she left it. The young lady replies that she got permission, and therefore everything is fine, and he asks who this boor is. And at that time, she looked at the guy and thought that he would not call her his brother in such a situation. Ati explains that he is a man whom she met completely by accident, and the guy explains that he is actually Lara's older brother. Helmer offers to listen to him, and then says that he was her father's best friend, even before this child was born, and then claims that Lara has no brother. At this time, the girl thought that she fully understood why Uncle Helmer was so furious. After all, before the destruction of their family, he was the main craftsman and the best friend, not only of her father, but of all of them. Adi thought about how for her, the sudden loss of her family meant for her uncle the loss of his best friend, and talking about her lineage was like a nagging wound to him. Tierney asks not to worry because he will become Lara's older brother and make sure that she is happy all her life. The man says that apparently he is a party animal from a rich family. He takes him by the hand and tells him not to bother Lara and to get out of here, and then turns to the girl and asks if this party animal threatened her. Leda objects and says that he helps her a little in the palace, and the man claims that he does not seem like that. And the main character assures that he is a really good person, but also kind, and therefore, to begin with, she would like him to be near her. Tierney says that he really is Adi's brother, and this uncle says all sorts of nasty things about him. Edian asks her uncle if he still makes plates. He says he makes plates because he has nothing to do. The girl says that means he still breaks them, wasting everything. Helmer claims that this is all a marriage upon hearing this. The young lady asks in surprise how this is a marriage, and then asks not to say so. The man claims that she also knows about this very well, and then says that everything that happened to her parents was because of. But he couldn't say anything else, and only frowned. The girl asks her uncle if she can take a plate from there. He asks why she needs it. The young lady explains that he knows she likes her plates, and she just wants to take it to the Imperial Palace and use it there. Helmer says that there will probably be something in the workshop since he will throw them out anyway, and so he offers her to take everything. The little girl thanked her uncle. Turney says that this is the first time he has seen a plate workshop, and then says that her uncle is a plate maker, and also asks if she is going to give them to Her Majesty. The guy reminds that he said last time that it won't work if they are not at least at the level of Master Verjain, because he believes that only he is such an outstanding master, and therefore it will be difficult to please her with the products of the majority. Etienne assures that everything is fine because he is not the majority. Suddenly, the guy saw the initials of the Virgen on the plate and was surprised. The main character thought that when she first heard the name of Master Virger, she did not know that it was Uncle Helmer, because he was always called not by his first name, Virgen, but by his last name, Helmer. The young lady found out who he was when she saw the initials on Gabriel's plate, and she knew it was the signature of Uncle Helmer, who was like a godfather to her. Adi looked at the floor where there were many broken plates and said that he breaks them like that, so of course he couldn't sell his products. The guy asks in surprise why he breaks them, and the girl explains that he has his reasons. The lady suggests taking it and leaving already. He asks in surprise if she is going to take it all, and she explains that if she leaves it, then the uncle will break it anyway and thinks it is better to take it. Turney looked at the girl, and she didn't understand why he was looking at her so strangely. The guy asked her to give him just one plate, and then she realized that he was after the plates. The Marquis says that if she gives just one, he will forgive her, for the fact that a little earlier he was so heartlessly driven away. Adi agrees, and then says that in exchange after they leave, he will have to behave quietly. Helmer asks if she has done everything she wanted, and then says that if she is finished, then she should leave quickly. And at this time, the main character thought that although his style of speech was rude, most likely he did not want her to return late and be scolded. Etienne tells her uncle that his works are not defective, and that she was left alone not because of him, and therefore she will be happy if he continues to create beautiful plates as before. The girl says that she is already leaving and asks him to drink less, and he tells her not to go too far, and then says that if it becomes too hard for her and she has nowhere to go, then he is always here and believes that he can feed her alone. Ati thanked her uncle for the fact that she could count on him at any time, since he was the only one she could turn to. At this time on the training ground, the prince became curious about where Etienne went. He asks Diano where Turney is. The pink-haired guy asks His Highness if he thinks that Turney went to Lady Etienne. The gentleman replies that there are neither of them there, and then asks if he knows anything. Diana reports that lately they have only looked at Lady Etienne and left, and she asked them for advice on this matter, and they gave it to her. Adrian asks, in surprise, what they said. The guy explains that they said that it would be better for her to plan an escape. And at that time, he looked at His Majesty and thought that it seemed that he had a slightly crazy look. The prince went outside and thought that he didn't understand how she dared to run away, because they hadn't even been able to find Essen yet, and she had already run away, and he thought that whether Essen would return or not didn't matter, because he wasn't going to let her go. The main character turns to His Highness, and at that time he thought that he was so angry that it seemed that he could go crazy, and then he went up to the girl and hugged her, and thought that this is happiness, because she is next to him. Etienne looked at the gentleman in surprise, and he asked where she went. The lady explained that she wanted to get a gift for Her Majesty the Empress, but to do this she had to go out. And at this time the guy thought that he only heard her voice, and did not understand why his mood improved. The main character says that if he punishes her, she will gladly accept it. The gentleman explains that he is not going to ask her, because he believes that there is another person who needs to be finished off. Turney asked His Highness what he did that was so bad, and the prince thought that he didn't repent at all. The Marquise cleans a plate, and the gentleman asks in surprise what it is. The guy asks if he is interested in what it is, and the prince asks if he wants to get more. Turney explains that his ATI gave it to him, and only him. Hearing this, the prince thought that this idiot stole his first exit from the palace with ATI, and also received a gift, and he still hasn't received anything at all. Adrian took the plate, and the Marquis asks to return it, and thinks that if he breaks it, Ati will be sad. The prince announces that he is confiscating, and upon hearing this, the guy is surprised, and claims that this is too much. The gentleman asks what they both said to her. Tierney explains that he was really very strange back then, and went to her Ati every day and didn't say anything, and just stared at her, and then suddenly started screaming and ran out. The guy asks if a normal person behaves like that. Adrian is surprised and asks if he really seemed like that, and he asks if he looked crazy. Diano agrees with him, and at this time, the prince thought that now it was the end for him, and asked what they thought he should do so that she would not be afraid of him. And at this time, the guys thought that he now looked very scary, and thought that he had never behaved like this before. Diano asks if he thinks she would like any of the gifts, and then says that when he brings Akaja gifts, sometimes she even kisses him on the cheek. Hearing this, the prince thought that this meant that this was a very good reward for the efforts made. Tierney says that jewelry and flowers are boring and tedious, and Adrian tells him to shut up. The guy with pink hair thinks that she already has enough of that without their gifts. Sitting in the carriage, the young gentleman screams and says that he does not want to and will not go. Mother says that the reception is over, and therefore they also need to go back. At this time, the prince thought that he would be glad if this damn kid would disappear as soon as possible. Veronica apologizes and explains that, because of her son, she also cannot find a place for herself, and the prince claims that everything is fine. The empress says that he even specially prepared a magic circle for them, and considers it very touching, because thanks to him, they will be able to return in comfort. Adrian says he's glad to hear his aunt liked it, and thinks it's because they need to send him to Sirius as soon as possible. The boy turns to the lady and says that she didn't even dance with him, and asks how that's possible. Adi thinks that he can come visit next time. Ronan says that there will be no next time, because he wants to be with her now. Mother turns to him and tells him to look at Adrian and study because this guy is serious. The boy tells Ati to come with them and marry him, and then asks if she agrees. Adrian grabbed the young gentleman by the shirt, and then threw him into the magic circle. Veronica asks the prince how he could send the child first, and also wonders if it was too rude. The young gentleman apologizes and then wishes his aunt a good trip. The woman thought that it seemed she needed to take back her words about him being serious, and then turns to the young lady and says that she has to suffer a lot, and reports that when she returns, there will be noise again from the sound of crying, because her head already hurts. Empress Veronica suggests meeting next time, and the girl wishes her to be more careful. Princess Marie asks her brother where her maid is, and wonders if he can get away with it if she looks for her personally, because she is interested in where he hid her. Adrian looked at Her Majesty and asked what she was doing. The princess said that she was interested in the maid she had sent on an errand regarding ceramics. At this time, the main character thought that she was talking about her and did not understand what she should do, even though she was made up, but she was very worried when she was near the princess, and as luck would have it, there was no veil. Adrian explains that she had difficult circumstances, so he gave her some money and sent her to her home. His sister tells him not to lie to her, and then asks when he was such a hero, and suggests that it would be better to say that he finished her off, because then she will believe him. The prince says that he finished her off, and Marie asks if he thinks she will believe it. The guy reminds her that she said she would believe it, and the lady explains that it was just a phrase. The master asks if that's all, and why she came. The sister replies that for the first time in a long time, she liked that maid because she spoke little quietly and worked well. So she liked her because she knows that it's hard to find such a maid lately. At this time, the main character thought that she tried to be seen as little as possible and behave very quietly, and it turns out she appreciated it. Ati reflects that if she had behaved noisily, she would not have had to come here on an errand. The princess asks her brother if he really killed her, and if he is serious. He replies that he threw her out of the palace. Marie wonders why he arbitrarily sent away her maid and asks if he is the king. The brother says that she broke his dishes, and the princess asks if he could not have said from the very beginning that he sent her away because of this. The princess asks what kind of character this is, and then claims that there is not a single normal person in this house, and that everyone here is abnormal except her. Adrian claims that he is the most normal one, and sister says that it doesn't matter, because he doesn't understand words, and then turns to the girl and asks if she also hasn't seen her. Hearing this, the main character does not understand what to do, because she has not yet covered her face. The princess explains that she sent a very nice maid here, and asks if she has seen her, because it seems that such a very soft feeling emanated from her. Ati replies that she didn't see it, and Marie tells the girl that her face is real, and at that time the main character thought that she caught her, and therefore would say goodbye to this world. The princess says that she is really beautiful, and at that time the young lady thought that she couldn't even recognize her face, and didn't understand why she was looking so hard. Adrian looked at the girl and told her to do it right. And at that time, Adi thought that everything was fine because she didn't recognize her, and therefore she didn't have to strain herself. The princess turns to the girl and claims that she is so beautiful, and then asks why she has been covering her face until now. Atian looked at the prince and thought that he wanted her to answer herself, and then said that His Highness told her not to show him to other people because he wants to look at her alone, and also wants to lock her up and admire her alone. Maria was surprised to hear this, because it turns out that his brother has a similar side, and at this time, the main character thought that this was the best line she could say. The princess tells the girl that she was interested in talking to her, and then says that she will try to find her servant on her own. Her Highness tells the lady that Papa said that he would definitely like to meet her, and told her to definitely come to the official dinner tomorrow. Hearing this, the girl was surprised, and the prince assures that they will not go. The princess says that Dad said that if they do not come, he will tell everything that he talked about. Adrian tells her to tell him that they will go, and the lady says that she knew it, and then turns to the girl and says that they will see each other tomorrow. The prince turns to Ati and asks if she has heard that they will be attending an official dinner tomorrow, and therefore suggests that she tries. The main character asks His Highness why he called her today, and at that time she thought that they just met with their eyes, but she does not understand what is wrong with her and why her heart is beating so hard. Adrian says that there is just a little time left, and when he suddenly stood up, the girl thought that he scared her. He tells her not to forget about tomorrow's dinner and tells her to leave now. Atienne reflects on the fact that she doesn't understand why she suddenly started paying so much attention to everything, and she wonders if she will be able to cope at dinner tomorrow at this rate. Lucy tells the lady that she must be very busy preparing for the formal dinner, and the girl asks in surprise whether she can't just get dressed and go as usual. Madame says that she can't even believe that she is saying something so naive, because she thinks that she still doesn't know the laws of this world at all. The woman says that although the Imperial Palace seems peaceful and calm on the outside, they say that in reality the most important intrigues are blooming and smelling on the battlefield of the front line, and of course, one cannot underestimate any of them. Lucy says that it is unknown when, where, who, and how to set traps. Hearing this, the main character realized that the people in the palace would set traps for her. Madame explains that, although they may seem friendly on the outside, in reality, they are cold and ruthless people. And such is life in the Imperial family, and you can't be friends with anyone for anything or get attached to anyone. The woman says that she must first show herself at her best in front of her elders, and then she says that she thinks this dress will suit her best. The main character asks in surprise if it's not too luxurious, and realizes that it's just dinner, and she tells her to put it on. Lucy claims that this is the Imperial Palace, and therefore suggests remembering that in the Imperial Palace, the luxury is her weapon. Atienne reports that she understood, and she became interested in whether this is how things are always done in the palace. The girl thought that even though she had prepared the plate she had received from Uncle Helmer, she did not know whether Her Majesty the Empress would like it. The prince knocked on the door, and then opened it and asked if she had finished all the preparations. He looked at the girl in surprise, and also wondered if she had heard that it would just be dinner. Adi explains that it's all Madame Lucy's fault, because she said it was a combat suit, and then asks if she should change into something else now. The young lady noticed that Prince Nova was looking at her like this silently, and thought that maybe it was because the clothes were so strange, and if everyone reacted like that, she thought she would be very ashamed. Ati thinks that this won't work, and then says that she will change into something else and come back. The young gentleman grabs her hand and offers to wait a minute, and then says that they will go like this. The main character asks in surprise if it is possible, and at that time she thought about whether it is not too luxurious, and she became interested in whether he cares about her. Adrian says that there is no time, and the girl thinks that it is obvious because she is a fool for hoping for warm care. The prince explains that this is a family gathering to simply congratulate Her Majesty the Empress on her birthday, and therefore she does not have to stress out as she would during a reception. And at this time, the main character thought that now he in his own way cares about her, and looked at him. The young gentleman asks in surprise, "What is wrong?" and she assures that everything is fine. He asks if something hurts, and then touches her head and says that there is no temperature. The girl says that it is probably because she is worried, because it will be her first time in the palace. She thought that the entrance there is strictly controlled by His Majesty, so she is worried. The butler announces that they may enter. The Empress suggests that they sit down quickly, since His Majesty said that he would come immediately after he had finished his business. Her Highness informs them that her daughter-in-law is very beautiful today, and then asks if she dressed up because they would be looking at her. Adi explains that she wanted to leave a good impression, but at that time, the guy thought that she was talking nonsense again. The main character doesn't understand what she should do and thinks that she answered too easily. Sitting at the table, Edion doesn't know what to do and thinks that she needs to quickly put everything in order. The Empress says that it is an incredibly sweet reason because she almost bit her and then turns to her son and asks if he forced her. Adrian asks in surprise if he really seems such a great man to her, and his mother says that in fact his lady is very beautiful today. The main character thanked Her Majesty, and at that time thought that thank God everything went well. The princess tells her daughter-in-law that she looks even more beautiful today, and apparently, because she dressed up, the girl thanks her, and then says that she too is lovely today, Princess Marie. Her Majesty asks if she wants to say that she usually doesn't look very good, and the main character explains that this is not the case, and doesn't understand why everyone is grasping at words and confusing them. The prince turns to his sister and tells her to stop teasing him, and the princess says that he is defending his wife and making her boil. Adrian asks if she's going to mince words, and then says he's going to kill her. Marie informs that this is the first dinner that her daughter-in-law is present at, so she was so happy that she joked a little. Ati assures that everything is fine. After all, she was always sick and could not attend, but it seems that she has become healthier lately, and she is very happy about it. The Empress says that the child is very weak and always pale, so she was very worried. And the princess claims that now she is much better and nothing hurts, so she is very happy and offers to see her more often. Marie asks, "How about having tea at her palace next time?" And Mother asks what she thinks about her coming as the third one. At this time, the main character thought that Lucy was right, because she now understands that this is a battlefield. The butler announces that His Majesty the Emperor is entering, and the prince touches her hand and says that everything is fine, and therefore invites her to sit. The Emperor asks how long they waited. His wife says that time flew by so quickly during the light conversation, and he says that he is glad. At this time, the girl thought that she had an incredible feeling of fear, and she looked at the gentleman and thought about his facial expression, and it seemed that he did not like her. E.T. wondered if they would be able to eat all together in this state. The Emperor turns to the girl and calls her his daughter-in-law, then says that they haven't seen each other for a long time, and explains that last time at the reception he was very busy and therefore was unable to greet her properly, and therefore is glad to see her at such a leisurely meeting. His Majesty reports that she is still unusually beautiful today. The daughter-in-law hearing this, the girl thanked her for such words. The Emperor says that they are literally one family and suggests calling him simply Dad. At this time, the main character looked at His Highness and thought that he had a scary face. His Majesty asks if she can come to the palace later and become his interlocutor. Hearing this, the princess turns to the Pope and claims that it is enough to put pressure on her. And at this time, the main character thought that, when she served her, she never saw her like this, and the way they seem is very reminiscent of a caring family from the village. The Empress tells her daughter to watch her language and asks if she thinks her reputation will improve if she continues to speak like that to her daughter-in-law. Marie thinks that she would have noticed soon anyway, and Mother wonders what if at this rate Adi starts to dislike her. The princess turns to her sister and asks if she hates her, and the prince replies that he really does. The main character asks in surprise when she did this, and at that time, she thought that he has a disgusting character, and also suggests that maybe all older brothers are like that. The young lady looked at the table, which was full of different foods, and thought that everything looked very tasty. The emperor says that in honor of the long-awaited meeting and delicious meal, he would like to say a toast to the peace of Affanino. Adi thinks that the atmosphere is better than she rearranged and thinks that she can give it now and then asks the servant to bring what she prepared. The empress is surprised and asks what kind of box this is, and the girl explains that it is her gift to her. Her Majesty says that she has already received the gift because she sent it from the Oviedo family. The main character says that she wanted to give her something that she chose herself, and the woman asks if she doesn't mind, and if she can open it now. The Empress is interested in what Lady Etienne has prepared, and when she opens the box, she is surprised, and then asks if she is really dreaming now, and also wonders if this is really a product of Master Vergin. Her Majesty says that she thought that he was no longer active, and then asks the girl how she found him. At this time, the main character thought that, fortunately, this was one of the expected questions, and then said that the thing is that the set was kept by an old friend of her father, and she brought it here to give it to Ursu. The Empress thanks Lady Etienne, and then says that she is truly magnificent, because these exquisite patterns are so impressively arranged, and considers that this is a beauty that no one but a skilled craftsman could create. Her Majesty says that she wants to tell everyone this happy news as soon as possible, and at that time, the girl thought that she was so happy that she felt good in her soul. The Empress announces that it is time to gradually set a wedding date and officially register the marriage, and then asks if they agree. Etienne, hearing this, does not understand what she should do, because this is a topic that she would like to avoid until the return of the Knight of Essen. And then she looked at the guy, and it turned out that he was looking at her. The prince says that it turns out that it is still too early, and then takes the girl by the hand and says that his bride is not yet accustomed to life in the palace, and he would like to postpone the moment when she will have to take on such responsibility. Adrian says that he wants to get married a little later, and Mother agrees with him and says that there is nothing wrong with a little slowness because she enjoys watching them. The young master thanked him for his understanding, and at that time the young lady thought that she should not be mistaken, and that when Knight Essen returned, she would return to her original place. The girl understands that she is a person who can disappear at any time, and believes that she cannot forget this, and judging by the fact that she has not yet been told to stop playing, then first she needs to continue to maintain such a life. The main character thought that the only good thing is that at first she felt like she was on the verge of life and death, and now she felt much calmer, but the problem is that he still passes by, looks at her attentively, and leaves. And today he appeared again. Adrian invites her to sit down, and the young lady thought that he was not just going to look and leave, and it seems to her that today there is some other atmosphere. Adi looked at the guy and thought that she thought he was more handsome than usual today. And at this time, the prince was thinking that she had a stupid expression on her face. The girl looked at the box and asked what it was that the prince was offering her to take, and if she didn't need it, then let her throw it away and then leave. Ati became interested in what was there, and that he left in a hurry, and then she opened it and was surprised. At this time, the prince is thinking about whether she will like him, because he thinks that he is beautiful and practical, and also that precious stone in the handle, although it is usually blue, and if you place it under the sun, it will turn scarlet. Adrian knows that this is a very beautiful and rare stone, and is sure that she will like it, and he is also interested in what kind of face she will have when she is happy. And at this time, the main character does not understand why he gave her the dagger, and does not think that he gave it so that she could peel the fruit for herself. Etienne believes that he is not the kind of person who would give something without any reason. After all, this is a gift without a reason. Suddenly, the dagger fell, and their girlfriend remembered that he had no intention of leaving her alive from the very beginning, and she believed that this was a warning about murder. Adrian doesn't understand where she went, and why she hasn't been seen for several days. Lucy turns to the prince and greets him. He says that it is good that they met, and then asks where his bride has gone. Hearing this, the lady was surprised, and asked if he was already using this nickname so naturally, and the gentleman suggested that she answer better. The woman explains that Lady Ati has gone away for a short time, and she doesn't know where. Hearing this, the gentleman thinks that she is deliberately avoiding him, but doesn't understand why. The prince wondered if his gift to improve her mood had turned out to be completely useless. The gentleman reflects on the fact that since birth, he has never heard anyone call him stupid, and he was absolutely perfect in all directions and confident in himself, and does not understand what significance all this has, because now he feels as if he has become a complete idiot. Adrian doesn't understand why she's avoiding him, and what he did wrong, and how he should act in this situation. At this time, the main character hid behind a tree and peeped to see if the prince was there. Sitting under the tree, the girl thinks that maybe he is doing this because she knows the secret of Atian and therefore wants to shut her mouth. The young lady believes that she did everything she was told anyway, and she was not caught, and she really tried very hard. Mikhail suddenly came up to Ati and asked what she was doing here. He said that they hadn't seen each other for a long time. At this time, the main character thought that it turns out that she has not yet introduced herself to him, and then says that her name is Lara. Hearing this, the gentleman was surprised, and she suggests calling her that. And at this time, she thought that she cannot tell him that she is Etienne. The guy says that she has a beautiful name, and at that time, the girl thought that her conscience hurts because she is deceiving such a kind person. The gentleman asks when she will answer what she is doing here, and the girl explains that she is just worried about something, and therefore thought a little. Mikhail says that if she doesn't mind, he can help her with a consultation. She understands that he doesn't know who she is, and therefore maybe everything will be okay if she opens up a little. A young lady wonders what the meaning of a gift of a dagger is. The guy says that daggers are not usually given as gifts, and the lady says that she received one and asks if this person is telling her to die. Adi doesn't understand why she suddenly has tears, and the gentleman claims that he is sure that it doesn't mean that. The main character reflects on the fact that maybe all this time it was too hard for her, and she held on putting her life on the line, but received a dagger, and then says that it is so sad. Mikhail asks if she feels a little better. She says that she feels better and thanks him, but the guy claims that it is not worth doing, because he could do nothing but just be near her. The young lady thought that even this little thing was a great consolation for her. Although the people from the palace treat her well, and she feels at ease with them in the end, they are all supporters of the crown prince, and therefore she cannot rely on anyone. The girl thinks that maybe that's why he felt so comfortable with Mikhail, who doesn't know her, and then says that it seems that he really is very caring, and that's why everyone likes him, especially the other ladies. Suddenly, the young gentleman jumped up and suggested that they see each other next time, and then announced that he would leave first. Ati assumes that he is probably very busy, and thinks that he will need to give him this handkerchief next time. The knights greet the crown prince, and he asks if they have seen his bride. The guys answer that they have not seen and do not understand why he is so scary and why he suddenly asks about the bride. Adrian asks if it's true that they didn't see her, and the knight says that they will immediately go looking for her. The prince says that even if they meet her, they should not grab her or bother her, and then says that he himself will come for Etienne. The young gentleman does not understand where she is wandering and thinks that she walks well with such short legs and just like a tiny sparrow. However, he does not understand how he can think that she is cute in such a situation. The squad thinks that this is a common symptom, and it seems to them that the last place she could be is the garden. Suddenly, the prince saw a girl sitting under a tree, and he realized that she was sleeping, and also remembered that she had never shown such a face in front of him. The young gentleman decided not to wake the girl, but simply to watch her, because he believes that she sleeps well without a veil, and only he should see this. Suddenly, the girl woke up and thought that she had fallen asleep herself without noticing. I think that His Highness should have already returned to the palace, and therefore it was time for her to go. The main character saw the prince and does not understand what he is doing here, and also thinks that maybe it is all a dream. He became interested in why she looks at him with such a sweet expression, and he does not even move at all. Ati threw the book down and decided to run away, and he just looked at her in surprise. The prince realized that she had actually been avoiding him all this time and hiding. And at this time, the girl became interested in whether he was pursuing her, and she began to run faster, but suddenly stumbled and fell. The young lady doesn't understand what to do because she thinks he will catch her. The guy thought that maybe she got hurt when she fell. Ati quickly got up and started running again. And at that time, the prince thought that she was running away so persistently as if he would catch her and eat her. The prince came closer to the girl and suggests that she not think about running away. She understands that it is too close, and she does not even believe that even in such a situation, she is happy that they met for the first time in a long time. Adrian wonders why she is avoiding him, and the lady objects and says that she was not avoiding. He understands that she was openly avoiding him and replies that she was not. The young gentleman wondered why she ran away now, and at that time, the young lady thought that she had really been avoiding him, so she had nothing to answer. Atienne explains that she did it because she just wanted to live. The prince tells her not to avoid his gaze, and so he will ask her again why she avoided him. The main character understands that she knows that no matter how hard she tries, His Highness can finish her off if he wants to, because this is the relationship between the crown prince and the maid. Adrian looked at the girl and asked in surprise if she was crying now. And at that time, the young lady realized that they could never be together, and this only made her sadder. The prince asks why she is crying, and the lady replies that he said that he would let her go as soon as the birthday celebration is over, and then asks why he is doing this to her now. The guy heard this and shuddered because he thought that she hated him so much that she was crying so hard. Adrian apologizes and explains that this is the last time, and therefore suggests that she wait until they find Essen. And since he is not there yet, they have no other choice but to make her a replacement. Ati agrees, and he thinks that now she probably feels disgusted, even just to be with him, and the girl wonders if he will leave so easily. The main character believes that the prince did not intend to kill her, but she does not understand what kind of dagger it was and what it meant. The girl asks Acacia if she can stay and asks to stay with her a little longer. The little girl says that she also does not want to part with her sister. Adi, but her parents and brother, said that it is time to return to their domain. The young lady asks if Diano is staying in their mansion in the capital. The little girl says that she was told that Diano's brother is not able to take care of her and works all day. Hearing this, the girl thought that the knight Diano was completely useless. Acacia tells the lady that she will miss her. The lady says that this tea was sent to her by Her Majesty Empress Veronica from Sirius and invites her to try it. The baby says it's very sweet, and the lady says it smells nice, and that's why she'll pack it for her before she leaves. Acacia tells her sister that since she started talking about Sirius, she remembered that Ronan sent her a letter and then asks if she received it too. Ati reports that she didn't receive anything, and the little girl says in surprise that it's strange because Ronan wrote that he sent her something too. The main character thought that she should ask His Highness about this later, because she thinks that maybe he knows something or can find out. The girl reports that he said that he had already sent a whole mountain of letters to his sister. Ati became interested in how the little girl came up with the idea of using Diano as a trash can, since she gave him candy wrappers and said that they were her gift to him. The lady asks Lucy what it is. She replies that it is a gift sent to her personally by the Empress, and then it is reported that Her Majesty said that she really liked the plate that she presented and wanted to thank her with threads of feathers of the lilit bird. Hearing this, the girl was surprised because she knows that they are very noble and rare, and understands that it must be very expensive. Madame says that the Empress specially prepared them, remembering her promise to give the embroidery to His Highness Adrian. Lucy says that she wants to see Miss Atchen's work someday, and asks if she can hope to do so. The main character thought that, because of what she blurted out, then now she has to do it, but she doesn't understand what to do since she doesn't know how to embroider. The woman asks her who she thinks she is, and then says that she is a countess with the most outstanding handicraft skills in high society, and offers to start training from tomorrow. Turney turns to Ati and asks her to help him. She asks in surprise what's going on. The Marquis says that he actually lost something, and that's why he needs to find it. Atienne asks what he is saying, the golden seal of the crown prince. The girl is surprised and asks how he lost it. The guy explains that he suddenly became interested in whether this seal was actually made of gold, as its name suggests, and so he bit it lightly with his teeth, and a mark remained on it, but it really was gold. The main character asks in surprise why he bit her at all. He explains that he tried to get rid of the trace, but it did not disappear, and therefore he thought that if he pretended that an incident had occurred, the prince would forgive him, and therefore threw her away. Turney reports that he can't find it now, but what's important is that he urgently needs to go to Adrian, and so he turns to his sister for help. The girl asks in which direction he threw her, and then went to look, and she became interested in where she fell. However, she understands that half an hour has already passed, and there are no results. Suddenly, The young lady saw the seal and screaming said that she found it. The young lady thinks that since the thorn used it, she thinks that she can just take it to the adjutant's office and quickly leave the seal and leave. When the girl entered the room, she did not understand why it was so dark and assumed that maybe this was the wrong office. Adi got scared and decided to just leave the seal on the table and leave. However, she became curious that there was someone there. The main character looked at the floor and saw a man tied up there and thought that anyone would say that he had been kidnapped. The guy with his eyes and mouth tied tried to make at least some sound, and he succeeded because he attracted the girl's attention. The main character does not understand why he is lying tied up on the floor and thinks that perhaps Adrian caught him, and this man like her is completely innocent of anything. But she thinks that first she needs to listen to what he has to say. Etienne apologizes and asks if his mouth is open, and the guy only nods his head in response. When the girl unties his mouth, he screams and says that this bastard tourney deceived him. The lady asks if he is okay, and then asks why he is tied up. The man says that he was brought here by deception. And hearing this, she thought that he could very well have done the same. The guy asks if he can ask her for one favor, and then says that it hurts a lot, and so he asks if she could loosen the rope on his wrist a little, and then offers to see how red they have become. The main character says that then she will weaken them just a little bit. And at this time, she is very worried, and then asks if this is enough. The young man felt relieved, and then took off the blindfold and the rope from his hands. He says that he never cares about her benefactor, and then says that they will see each other again. The stranger tried to run away, and the girl screamed and told him not to do it. But within a few minutes, the guy was gone. At this time, Ati realized that she was finished because she had done something wrong and believed that she should not have listened to what this man said. Turney calls Essen and asks where he is because he thinks that the guy can't keep running forever, and then says that he has a way to resolve this situation. At this time, a young man with blonde hair climbed a tree and thought that he had come to the meeting place believing his words. But as it turned out, he was deceived and the knights captured him. The young man thought that if he had known that he would hit him in the back, like that, he would never have gone there. After all, he thought that it was a one-way ticket. Essen looked out the window and did not understand how they could call him an outstanding beauty. He recalled that in his distant childhood, he liked to hear when they called him beautiful. The young man understood that as he grew older, he began to get a little angry at this face, because he believed that everyone approached him only because of this. The girl said that she thought that the soul of the knight Essen would be as beautiful as his face, and the guy understood that even men judged his character by it. Essen specially learned how to use a sword and decided to become a knight, all because it made him angry. However, the prince made him wear women's clothes, and therefore thinks that he is a bastard with a terrible character. The young man claims that he will never do something like that, even if he is grabbed and dragged back, and therefore he will never agree. At this time, the main character went out onto the balcony and looked down, and realized that there was no corpse, which meant that most likely he did not die. The girl thinks that while no one has come, she needs to leave quickly. Walking down the corridor, she heard a conversation about Essen being in that room, and realized that she needed to hide. Turney assures that he is really here because he caught Essen. When Ati heard this, she realized that it was Essen. The prince tells him to just try to lie again, but the young man insists that he is telling the truth, because this time he set a trap. Turney opened the door and saw that there was no one in the room, and it was empty, and then he objects in surprise and says that he was definitely there, and does not understand why this room is empty. Adrian asks if it was a lie that he caught him, and then pulled out the sword. The guy fearfully claims that he really caught him and asks not to pump him. His Majesty tells him to shut up because he doesn't need useless excuses. He says that he is very angry now because his expectations were not met. At this time, the main character thought that she had released Mr. Essen, who had returned, but she realized that he had to be here so that she could stop playing the bride. Etienne understands that if she is caught, she will die because she does not think that His Highness will forgive her. The gentleman reports that only he will know about what happened today, and therefore hopes that there will be no dirty rumors. Madame informs the lady that everything is ready. She thanks Lucy and asks if there will be a reception today, hosted by Her Majesty. The woman assures that this is a simple reception, and therefore suggests that she not worry, since they say that it will be a feast at which everyone will be able to enjoy the food received at the last reception. Hearing this, the main character thought that all the receptions were difficult for her. And besides, after she cried last time, she had never seen His Highness, and therefore understood that she would feel uneasy. Etienne muses that she can't believe they have to attend a reception together while in such a relationship, and then turns to Lucy and says that she doesn't think she's seen the jewelry. Madame explains that they are called hairpins, and Her Majesty said that it would be good if she came dressed up today, because she believes that it is truly an honor for all of their family. When the girl put on the jewelry, she thought that they felt just like shackles, and for which she was obliged to attend the reception, and therefore her heart was not in place. When there was a knock on the door, Adi thought that this was the most inconvenient thing, because this was their first meeting with Crown Prince Adriano after a long break. Lucy looked at the gentleman and thought that he had a look that said that they dressed her up beautifully, and therefore she would like to hear something. At this time, the young gentleman reflects on the fact that he never thought that the day would come when he would be bothered by someone's sidelong glances. The main character thought that at this rate he might find out that she let Mr. Essen go and doesn't even know what to do. She understands that if she talks too much, she might accidentally tell, and therefore thinks that she should keep her mouth shut. At this time, the young gentleman thought that she did not even want to talk to him, and then suggested that she go. And at this time, the young lady hoped that nothing would happen today. Etienne was surprised, because she thought that this was a simple trick. But as it turned out, the incredibly luxurious girl understands that Her Majesty the Empress and Madame Lucy are friends. And it was true. Mother greets them and wishes to eat more and have fun before leaving, and the main character asks to address her informally as the Empress. Her Majesty asks if she can do this, and wonders how about she also calls her mother. Hearing this, the princess objects and thinks that this is frivolous, and then says that everyone treats daughters-in-law as daughters-in-law, and turns to the girl and offers to tell her something. Etienne assures that everything is fine and suggests to end it here. The prince tells her to go and rest. Having heard this, the young lady was surprised, because she does not understand whether it is possible to leave so easily. The Empress asks Lucy if she saw how he just protected her. And at this time, the main character became interested in whether everything will be all right with this palace. Adi looked at the table with dishes and thought that everything looked very appetizing, and she would like to eat a little bit of everything. Turney turns to the girl and says that she looks very happy next to the idiot who did this to him, and then asks how she can call herself his family after that. The young lady realizes that they were never hers from the start. The guy shows what Adrian did to him, because he believes that he really didn't let him go, and that makes him feel hurt. The guy looked at the girl carefully and asked if she had let him go. Hearing this, the main character got scared, and she doesn't understand if she was really exposed and thinks that maybe he guessed, because she then took the golden seal to the office. The Marquise smiled and said that it was a joke, and then suggested that they go and eat something tasty because he was very hungry. Etienne thought that he was making jokes, and someone might disappear after them. The young lady greeted Viscount Benedetto, and he said that they had not seen each other for a long time, and asked to call him simply Shishinyu. The main character asks to call her Ati then too, and he agrees. The little girl turns to her sister and says that she was told that she doesn't have to go home. Hearing this, the main character smiled and said that it was very good that everything worked out well. Turney tells Ati that she needs to have fun while eating, and then gives her a candy and asks if it's tasty and suggests going to try it from the other side. The Empress thanks everyone for their presence and announces that she wants to introduce the main dish that they have all been waiting for so long. The woman suggests that her husband look there, because she is sure that this dish is the 16th set of plates of the Master Virhint. Madame asks Her Highness why she is only now showing them these precious works of art, and then informs her that if she finds a few more pieces, she will be able to collect a complete set. At this time, Gabriella comes up and claims that this is nonsense, and then says that the Nobel family can break everything up, and as expected from this family, the lady says that even their family couldn't find the 16th item. Hearing this, Turney doesn't understand what she's talking about, because he knows that it's obvious that the servants were looking for them. At this time, the main character thought that it seemed to her that Uncle Helmer's work was truly outstanding. The Empress reports that she is very glad that thanks to her, she was able to obtain such precious plates, and then thanks Lady Gabriel once again. The lady with blue hair says that she cannot express in words how happy she is that Her Highness is using her gift. Gabriel looked at the main character and thought that she must have realized that, with this, she had won the love of the Empress. The aristocrat says in surprise that she can't believe that the Empress is showing the most precious part of her collection, and also wonders if the larger part can be presented. The lady with the red hair says that she is so happy to receive Her Majesty's favor. Empress Lyudmila says that she is so happy, and he does not understand what she should do. And the butler asks the lady, "What is the matter?" Her Majesty explains that everyone is so happy that it makes her think. But even though she wanted only herself to admire her, she offers to bring this. At this time, the girl does not understand whether there is something more amazing. And the Empress takes off her cloak, and Ati realized that she gave it to her. Her Majesty reports that this is a sophisticated design and complex technique and is a new work by Master Virgin. Seeing this, Gabriella became very angry because this is a new piece, and she became interested in who found it, because she understands that then her gift will not be a priority. Ludmila says that as expected, they all recognized him. The knight tells Her Majesty the Empress that he heard that after the master disappeared, no one contacted him, and then asks in surprise how she found it. Her Highness replies that she also found them completely by accident, because her lovely future daughter-in-law, Lady Atienne, personally presented her with this gift. The aristocrats noticed that this girl has hair ornaments, and in them are precious stones that only the Imperial family can use. The Empress claims that as expected of the future wife of the Crown Prince, she should have the best of everything. At this time, Gabriella realized that she was not a simple rival, and then turns to the maid and orders her to immediately find out where she found the new works of Master Virgains. The blue-haired lady approaches the protagonist and claims that she is mistaken if she thinks she defeated her with this, and then quickly leaves. Turney wonders what she said, and the lady explains that she said that she miscalculated if she thinks she won. He asks in surprise what she won, and the lady replies that she is not sure. Ati reflects on the fact that it seems to her that things have become a little calmer now, and that Thorny has gone to eat. The princess turns to her daughter-in-law and asks her to help her. She asks what happened, and the lady explains that she does not want to be with them because these people are both the wife of Baron Kless and the wife of Count Ivana. The main character asks if these two aren't her interlocutors. She explains that their conversations don't go together, and that she can't call these two interlocutors, because all they do is evaluate other people. The prince approaches the girls and says that it is enough to torment his bride, and then tells her to leave already. Maria thinks that it is he who torments her the most. But the prince remains silent, and she understands that usually he would have answered something, but this time he remained silent. Ati says that she would like to drink another glass, and at this time the princess thought that she could not believe that her brother was caring for someone else. Adrian tells the girl not to get too excited, and then gives her a glass of champagne, and then asks if she will dance with him. The princess hugs the girl and says that she thinks they will get along. Maria tells him that she felt some discomfort before and wonders why, and then asks if she was avoiding her too much. And at that moment, she realizes that it is because it is not the right person. Atienne tells the princess to help herself as well, because the food is delicious and the alcohol is sweet, and then turns to His Highness and asks if he wants some too. The prince agreed, and the main character thought about the fact that he was asking her to feed him, and remembered that a little earlier when Thorny was feeding her, he did not react to it at all. Marie asks her sister if she also has one older brother. She replies that she does, and the princess says that it is surprising, because Gabriel also has one older brother. Adrian says that he is decent and normal, which is completely uncharacteristic of Nobel. The princess realized that he was butting in again and looked at him, but then changed her mind because she would forgive him only because her daughter-in-law was nice. Marie asks, "How about they dance together?" Hearing this, the young gentleman thought that they would be together often, and maybe he could open her heart a little, and then turns to the lady and asks if she would dance with him. Atienne agreed, and then they started dancing. The girl thought that she had drunk too much alcohol, and knew that now Mr. Essen had returned, and assumed that everything would soon be over. However, she thought that even now this moment seemed like an illusion. The prince looked at the lady and asked if she was okay, because her cheeks were too red. And at this time, she does not understand why everything is like this again, and the sound of the heart that is about to break out. And she is sure that it is because of the alcohol she drank, and not because she has become strange. The main character claims that everything is fine, but suddenly she saw Mr. Michael Furfrey, who went into another room. Adrian asks what is wrong, and she answers that everything is fine. However, the guy realized that she saw a man, and her gaze was aimed at him. At this time, the main character does not understand what to do, because her cheeks are still burning. The prince thought that she fell at the last reception, and he has to worry about the fact that her body is too weak, and thinks that she looks like a newborn chick. Adrian suggests going back, because he thinks it would be better to leave and rest. The girl tells His Highness that she will go on alone, but he claims that he will accompany her to the bedroom door. Ati objects, and says that she will go alone. Hearing this, the prince turned around and left. And at this time the main character thought that she does not want him to know about her condition now, and believes that if she goes back and rests, she will feel better. The girl does not understand where all the guard knights have gone. A few hours earlier, Tierney asks if he thought he could fool him and get out of the capital. Essen asks what kind of a low-grade villain's line this is. The Marquis says that because of him, he was beaten, his beautiful face has deteriorated, and then says that he needs to go to an appointment, and therefore suggests that he sit here quietly. And then he says that if he is quiet, he will bring him delicious food. The guy with blonde hair says that he is all impatient. And when he was left alone, he thought that he believed him, and maybe underestimated him. And then he took out a knife and cut the rope. The young man thinks that he is apparently a quick learner, and judging by the fact that he chose a room without windows, but he thinks that even if this is the case, it cannot be said that he will not be able to get out. Essen opened the door and dispatched the guard with one swing, then the other. The guy wondered if he was really going to spy on him with just 2 guards. However, the man heard the knights' voices saying that they should catch him, and then he ran into the room. The main character, when she saw the young man, she realized that he was not a guardsman, and he thought that he saw a familiar face. At this time, the knights say that they must grab him, and under no circumstances let him go. The guy grabs the girl and hides with her. Adi thought that this person is familiar to her, and the guy tells her to be quiet, and then asks if they left. Adi realized that this was the one she had freed, and then called his name. It's been 3 weeks since Mr. Essen's return, but the main character is wondering why they still won't let her go. She knows that in a week, the country's founding celebration will take place, and then she will have to play the prince's partner. Lucy tells the lady that she is perfect today, and is sure that at this night's reception, she will shine brighter than all the ladies, and then tells her to quickly go out because Mr. Turney is waiting for her. Etienne asks the Marquise why he came so early, and he explains that Adrian told him to go to her. Suddenly, the young lady saw a handsome man with luxurious silver hair and blue eyes, and a cold atmosphere around him. Turney asks why he is like this, and then asks if this is the first time he sees her, and offers to say hello, because this is his younger sister Etienne. He thinks that Etienne must also be meeting her for the first time, and then says that this person is his younger sister Etienne, and now he has 2 sisters. The Marquis suggests that the 2 of them call him brother, and then says that he is glad that he is wearing women's clothing for the first time in a long time, because in fact it was all his idea. Essen heard this and got angry, and then grabbed the guy. Turney turns to Ati and asks to save him because he is going to finish him off. And at this time, the girl thought that she would like him to be beaten a little more. The guy with silver hair claims that they are fucking bastards because he doesn't understand why they dress him in women's clothes if they found a replacement bride. Mark says that he is sad because one of his sisters has disappeared. The main character asks in surprise why Mr. Essen is here. He answers that there cannot be 2 ATIs because he believes that if he stays in another palace, there will be 2 ATIs. The girl knows that there are almost no people in Lily's palace, and because almost everyone knows about this secret, and it is safe there, which means that in the end, somehow childishly, they wanted to make fun of Mr. Essen in a safe place. Essen looked at the young lady and does not understand when this girl became Etienne instead of him. Turney reminds that he ran away and came back, and then asks where he lost his mind. The main character greets the gentleman with silver hair and says that this is their first meeting. He says that he is glad to meet her. The Marquis says that he is rude because he pokes right from the first meeting. Hearing this, the main character remembered that he did the same, and Turney asks why she looks at him like that, and what is going on. The lady replies that everything is fine. Essen looked at them and thought that they seemed quite friendly, but they said that they couldn't trust anyone. But they found such a person, and therefore believed that they needed to get to know her to some extent. The guy asks her what her real name is. She replies that Viola Bilbao, and she is an aristocratic chambermaid. But their family went bankrupt. Essen thought about how they made her a temporary bride, confirming her origin, and then wondered how she became a bride. The girl explains that she came on an errand and accidentally heard about everything Turney says, that Ati had known Adrian since childhood, because he often went to visit the Oviedo family for the sake of meeting Ati, because then she was simply beautiful. The guy asks in surprise if he's crazy, because he thinks that he's out of his mind, and that it's already a disease. And if you look at it that way, it seems like she got involved in this completely by accident, and not only did she become the bride of that very Adrian, she also has to play the role of Thorny's younger sister. Essen says that she must have suffered greatly upon hearing this. The main character realized that, until now, there had not been a single person who understood her feelings, and it turns out that he is a truly kind person, and she does not understand how such a person cannot be liked. Adi thinks that's why Prince Adrian fell in love with him. And then he assures her that she's fine, and reflects on the fact that now that Mr. Essen has returned, she no longer has to continue living in fear of being discovered. The girl does not understand why her heart hurts, and thinks that it is probably because she will no longer be able to see Acacia. And that is why this is happening, because she will need to forget about all the people she met here. The prince asks what they're doing now, and thought that this idiot is Turney, because he definitely said to bring the girl to the hall at the beginning of the reception. And then he looked at the lady and does not understand why she has such an expression on her face. The Marquis tells the prince that they were about to go, and then asks why he came. Adrian came closer to the girl and asks her to look at him, and then asks who and what told her, and also wonders if these idiots were making fun of her. Atienne explains that she met Mr. Essen for the first time, and they greeted each other. Adrian thought that her expression was too serious for that. Turney asks His Majesty how he immediately began to suspect in the first place, and believes that this is why they say that it is an ignoble matter to raise children, and this suits him perfectly. Essen thinks about how inappropriate he is, and then asks if he can let her go. Adrian asks if he is there too, and the guy reminds him that he just saw him. The prince says he doesn't remember, and then asks why he's here. Essen replies that they met by chance. And the girl turns to His Highness and asks if they don't have to go to a reception. Adrian suggests to go quickly, because they might be late. He took the lady by the hand and then asked Essen if he was coming. The guy with blonde hair does not understand what happened while he was not here. The main character thought that this time Mr. Essen had returned for real. And thanks to the fact that she had mentally prepared herself, it was not so shocking. And now she had finished all the necessary things, so all that was left was to return to her place. Ati realizes that although she had met with His Highness for several days during the receptions held in the evenings before the upcoming celebration of the founding of the state, he had not said a word about it, and she supposes that perhaps he had forgotten. The young lady is sure that it is because he cannot collect his thoughts due to the celebration of the National Foundation Day, because there are people who remember her face, and therefore it is better for her to leave far away from the palace, and believes that, in any case, it is necessary to prepare for departure in advance. Atienne feels strange, because at first she wanted to get out of here so much, because she didn't want to die. But every time she thinks about the need to leave, she feels sadness. And then she looked at the gift dagger and doesn't understand what to do with it. Essen came to the lady and asked if she had time, and then entered the room and said that she was the same. At this time, the main character remembered that Lucy wanted to change the interior, but she stopped her because the original owner was supposed to return someday. The young gentleman asks if she wants to get something, and the young lady wonders why he suddenly asks. The guy replies that the last time he was released from the office, it was her, and he said then that he would not forget her kindness, and therefore he thinks that he should at least return what he received. Essen is thinking about how he is still interested in why Adrian and Turney became so friendly. And at this time, the girl thought about the fact that he said it just like that because he even came to her to keep his word. Atian says that she is sure that he is an angel, Mr. Essen, and he is second in kindness among the people she has met here. Hearing this guy claims that she is also abnormal, and then asks if she wants anything in any case. The main character claims that everything is fine because it is enough for her that he returned safe and sound. He says that this is a problem because he already promised, and the lady assures that she really does not want anything. Essen says that in the future, he will help her in any way he can, and asks if she is okay with it. Hearing this, the girl thought that he is a kind person, and the guy does not understand why she looks at him like that. The young man says that he thinks that she misunderstands something, but he is not as good as she thinks, because he believes that he is also a little guilty of her becoming Adrian's bride, and therefore says that if help is needed, he will help in any way he can. Atienne believes that, in fact, it is entirely Mr. Essen's fault, but decides to remain silent. The girl thought that she needed to read more books before leaving. But suddenly, she heard the maids talking about the night Essen returning, and they say that this time he went hunting in the south and was on a secret mission. The maid claims that, in any case, it is nice to admire the knight, Essen for the first time in a long time, and then asks if she has seen Mr. Essen and Lady Atienne together, because she thinks they look alike, and if you look closely, they have the same hair and eye colors. The main character thought that it was obvious because they were not siblings. The original reason she took on the role of a replacement was because she and Mr. Essen had similar hair and eye colors, and thought that they would not be caught because of this. The maid says that in any case, today, the knight Essen was simply charming, and she hopes that later she will be able to meet him again. Adi saw that the maids had left and thought that Mr. Essen was really very popular. Walking down the corridor, she felt that today, in the Lily Palace, it was especially noisy, and she wondered if something had happened. An hour ago, Turney reported that her brother had arrived, and then said that he was bored to death, and asked where she had gone. He saw the suitcase and wondered why she had packed her things, and also assumed that the girl was going to run away because of Essen's return. Marquis immediately ran to the prince's office, and His Majesty asked what had happened again, and said that if he was going to bother him, then he'd better leave. Turney reports that Ati is going to run away, and she decided to leave and believes that it is because of Essen's return. Hearing this, the gentleman thought that of course he had promised her this, but he remained calm because during the appointment she had not said anything, and therefore he believed that he should not have promised anything like that from the very beginning, because he did not want to let her go. Adrian wants to admire this face next to him a little longer, but he wonders if she hates him so much that she wants to leave without saying a word. The Marquis screams and says that his little sister can't disappear. The prince says that he left the road, and Diano asks in surprise where he is idiot. The prince saw the box and realized that it was his dagger that he had given her, and thought that she didn't even want to take it with her. He looked around the room and didn't see the girl. Lucy, surprised, asks the crown prince why he is angry, and the gentleman asks where his bride went. Madame explains that most likely she went to the library, and she became curious about what happened since he got so angry. Adrian quickly ran to the library, and in the corridor he saw a girl and realized that she had that expression on her face again, and it was like that every time she saw him. His Majesty thought that even if she hates him, it doesn't mean anything, because he can no longer hide his feelings for fear of someone else's reaction, and then tells her not to leave. The prince says that now she can't go anywhere, and then hugs her. He says that even this facial expression won't help her, because now she is his bride, and only she, and therefore he will never let her go. The girl asks what he is talking about, and Turney explains that she had packed her things and wanted to leave. Atienne explains that she was simply told that she would be released after Mr. Essen's return. Adrian offers to renew her contract, and then tells her that his sister has already recognized her face without the veil. Hearing this, the main character understood that this is why he said that there is no one except her. And the prince explains that Essen says that he would rather die than dress up as a woman, and believes that she did a very good job as a bride. Adrian asks to continue pretending to be his bride only until the moment when he becomes emperor, and when everything is over, he will give her a title and jewels. The Marquis asks the girl to be patient with him for only 3 years. Hearing this, the young lady thought that in 3 years, Prince Adrian will become the emperor. And it doesn't matter, even if it looks like she calculated everything because of the desire to get the title, if she can only stay with him a little longer. Etienne says that she will do it and will try her best. When the girl came to her room, she thought that she couldn't believe that all this happened because of the packed suitcase. But she understood that someday she would still have to return, and therefore it would be better to just leave it like that. Michael had lent her that time, and she understood that she had to return it, but she wondered if he would be in the garden if she went there now. Ati found Mr. Michael, and he says that he hasn't seen Lara for a long time. The lady explains that she has been looking for him for a long time, because she can finally return it to him. The man thought that this meeting happened because of the scarf, and then thanked the girl and said that she was in a good mood today. The young lady asks in surprise how he knew this, and wonders if it is very noticeable. The gentleman explains that the matter is that, and the girl interrupts him and asks if he remembers the story about the man who sent her a dagger. She says that this man constantly threatened her life, but now she has nothing to worry about. Adi claims that this is a man from whom no evil comes, and she could have left the palace initially, but since everything was resolved well, she can stay with him. Mikhail asks what happened to the one who threatened her life. She explains that, to tell the truth, she brought trouble on herself because she considers herself guilty too. At this time, the gentleman does not understand why she is so protective of this dangerous man with such an expression on his face. He is a little worried. The main character thanks the guy for listening to her today because she had almost no one to share this with. He says that if she wants to share anything else, she can come again because he will always listen. The butler reports that Her Majesty the Empress asked if they would like to dine with her. Lucy asks the lady what she will do, and the lady says to tell Her Majesty that she is grateful for the invitation and will come at the appointed time. The madam tells the lady that she is settled in, and the girl asks if everything went well. Lucy says that of course everything went well, and suggests that she behave like that in the future because she thinks she is a good girl, and then suggests that they get ready for dinner. The main character asks in surprise if this is how one should prepare for dinner. Madame assures that of course she should wear a dress that will win the heart of Her Majesty. The young lady remembered that this was a battlefield, and so decided to dress beautifully. The Empress invites the girl to sit down, and then says that before they enjoy their meal, she would like to talk to her. At this time, the main character thought that maybe she had been exposed, and she became interested in what Her Majesty wanted to talk about. The Empress shows the necklace and asks if she recognizes it, and then says that it belongs to Elena, and is the treasure of the empire consisting of a fortune just like this palace. Etienne knows that in this necklace there is a golden stone called the Dragon's Eye, and it can be said that it is a symbol of the Imperial family, the soul of the dragon. Agelos was reborn as a human and became an emperor. Therefore, the descendants who inherited his soul have a pattern in the iris of their eye symbolizing him. This pattern is passed down only in the direct line of succession from the current emperor when a new emperor is born. The pattern disappears from the brothers and sisters of the previous one, and everything is decided at the coronation ceremony when the emperor's name is engraved on the tablets and the will of heaven is heard. Ati recalls that it was written in the book as far as she remembers. And by the way, His Highness also had a pattern on his iris, and it seems it was said that it was protective magic transmitted through the blood. The guy says that although they have magic, their magical abilities are small, so magicians were not born into the Imperial family, but they still have high resistance to magic, so they are not afraid of magical intrigues. The girl thought that she was already scared, and now magic didn't work, and she was seeing such a historical thing in real life for the first time. The Empress says that this necklace is passed down from generation to generation, only to empresses, and now she will pass it on to her. Etienne thanked Her Highness, and at that time thought that it seemed she answered without thinking, because she understood that this was too valuable a thing, and she could not accept it. Lyudmila reports that she said the same thing when she received it from the Dowager Empress, and when she said that she was unworthy, Her Highness replied that she had to try to become worthy of this necklace. The Empress says that she wants to say the same words to her, and to be honest, at first, she was very worried, because she appeared so suddenly, and besides, Adrian brought her, and therefore she was worried that the lady grew up in the Oviedo family, where she was hidden from everyone. Her Highness says that after watching her, she realized that all her worries were in vain, and then says that she thinks she can trust her because she believes that her son will need her help. At this time, the main character does not understand how to trust or whether she is deceiving her. The maid asks the mistress if she will wear this necklace to celebrate the founding of the empire, and the main character asks in surprise how she can wear such a valuable thing. The maid claims that the necklace was created to stop his violence, and that this necklace has the protective magic of the founder king, and it will not break or shatter, so she suggests that the mistress not to worry, but to wear it. Etienne says that he thinks it is still too early, and the maid asks in surprise what she will tell Lady Artie. The young lady says that she feels like she's started calling her by a different name, and the maid replies that it's not appropriate to call the future Crown Princess Lady Artie. The main character says that she is still used to being called Lady Artie, and therefore it is unusual when she addresses her differently. And the maid explains that one can say that this is her manifestation of sincerity, and this means that now she recognizes Lady Artie as her mistress, and then she says that she will continue to serve her. The maid says that as far as she knows, Lord Essen spent a lot of time in mourning for his dead wife, but Her Majesty the Empress gave the necklace to Lady Artie, and then asks her why she thinks that is. The lady says that this is because, one way or another, both Lord Essen and she bear the name Artienne. The maid objects and explains that Her Majesty the Empress made a gift to the current Lady Artie and not to Lord Essen, and this means that she recognized her as the future Empress and also thinks that Lady Artie will become Her Majesty the Empress. Lucy says that as far as she knows, she has a special position in this palace because she has a deep connection with Her Majesty the Empress, and she is the wet nurse of the Crown Prince, so unofficially she is considered almost a member of the Imperial family. The woman says that if she were just the wet nurse of the Crown Prince, then she would simply enjoy the privileges of the Imperial family. Then there would be no problems, but she herself volunteered to become the chief maid of honor of the Crown Princess. So His Highness Adrian asked her for help. The girl realizes that he had to keep a lot of things secret because of the fake Crown Princess, and he couldn't ask just anyone. Lucy says that of course she agreed, because it looked funny, and she really likes that she can decorate everything as she wants. But anyway, because of this, when Lady Artie first arrived, she allowed herself a slight familiarity in communicating with her, and therefore asks to forgive her for her impoliteness. Etienne claims that everything is fine, and on the contrary, it is she who is imperfect and caused them inconvenience, and then says that she is always grateful to them. Madame says that she likes her feature, and even though she couldn't wear Elena's necklace, she then says that today she should have this tiara on her head, which is a symbol of the status of the future Crown Princess. At this time, the main character thought that she needed to try hard, and Madame suggested that she not worry, because today the main character would be Lady Artie. The young lady thought that she was not worried about that. The prince turns to the girl and says that she doesn't look well, and then asks if she's okay. Artie assures that everything is fine, and at that moment, she wonders if he really noticed that the tiara bothers hers. Adrian asks if she is sick, and the girl claims that everything is fine, and she feels well. His Highness says that if she suddenly feels unwell, then she should immediately tell him about it, because it is also his responsibility to know about her well-being. At this time, the main character thought that it was understandable why he cared so much, because it was impossible to disrupt the celebration in honor of the founding of the empire, and this was what she expected. The little girl turns to her sister and says with pleasure that there is a holiday outside and asks if she has been to one. At this time, the girl thought that in fact she had been, but according to legend, Artienne, Ati says that she only saw it from afar, but was not there herself. Acacia says that she wants to go to the party with her sister, and the lady says that she would also like to go with her, and suggests going next time when there is an opportunity to go together. The little girl claims that she wants it now, and the lady asks for forgiveness, and suggests that they definitely go next time. And at that time, she thought that she should be patient, because in a few years, she will be free. The prince approaches them and asks the girl to forgive him, because he is taking Artie. The little girl asks in surprise where he is taking her, and the gentleman says that it is a secret, and the main character doesn't understand whether it's possible to leave so early every time, and she thinks that the prince doesn't seem to like parties at all. Ati says that she is returning to Lily's palace. Hearing this, the master is surprised and asks where she is going, and also wonders if she is not going to rest. Adrian says that he needs to get ready and go somewhere, and therefore they will not go to Lily's palace, but to another palace. The prince says that she should know about such things as his bride, because they say that there will be a performance in honor of the founding of the empire, and asks if she wants to go. Ati says that she wants to, with pleasure, and he suggests that she speak informally in public, because no one will know who they are. The girl asks in surprise how she can speak informally with His Highness, and he explains that there is no need to call His Highness here, but can simply call him by name, and suggests repeating after him, Adrian without a master. The young lady called his name and thought about what she did, and he says that everything is fine and she is doing well. Atienne reflects on how this is the first time she has seen the prince smile like that, and he suggests that she call him Adrian from now on. The girl asks what other people will think of her. The prince says that she is the future crown princess, and at this time does not understand whether another reason is needed, and then says that Essen also called him by name when he was in the army, and therefore suggests that she not worry. The girl called his name, and he thought that hearing his name was very pleasant. She wondered where they were going. Suddenly, the man turns to them and tells them both to come to him, and then asks if they came to the party to watch, and then says that they say the fireworks will be very beautiful. The prince asks how much it costs, and when he hears the amount of 10 coppers he pays and says not to give change. Hearing this, the main character claims that it is too expensive, because usually such a thing costs only 3 copper coins. The young gentleman claims that it doesn't matter, because at a party you can raise the price. It's a common thing, but Ati claims that you can go broke in the blink of an eye. Adrian claims that she can avoid going broke if she is always by his side. Hearing this, she does not understand why there is such logic. The lady says she has blue fireworks, and the guy says he has yellow ones. Suddenly, she sees him looking at the kebab stand and thinks he must be really hungry. Adi bought 2 pieces of shashlik and tells the guy to eat them. He says that he is uncomfortable because his hands are busy with fireworks, and at this time, the girl realized that before this, he was holding everything with one hand. The prince tells her to feed him, and the lady thought that feeding him on the street was a bit awkward, but she realized that she had nowhere else to go and offered him to try a piece. The main character suggests that he go along the path to the stage and have another bite to eat, and he agrees. A few minutes later, the girl realized that they were in the square where the performance was taking place, and that a lot of people always came to this celebration in honor of the founding of the empire. Ati reports that people in the first row have been queuing since yesterday, and also understands that there are a lot of people who cannot live without a show. The girl says that when she was little, a new troupe performed every year, and therefore, every year there was something new, but from some point on, the same troupe performed. The main character says that she has already seen the same thing several times, so she is already fed up with it. Hearing this, the prince thought that it was strange, because he was interested in seeing the same corpse every year at such a big celebration. Adrian says that the show is about to start, and there are a lot of people there, and so he suggests that she stay closer to him. But suddenly he sees that the girl is gone and is nowhere to be seen. The prince turns to the Black Shadow and tells him to find Arti and protect her, as well as take her to a safe place and contact him. At this time, the main character does not understand what to do, because of the crowd, she does not know where she is, but she thinks that it is scary to just wait and stand still, because there are so many people that it will be difficult to get back to the prince. The girl thought that it would probably be better to return to the palace and meet there, and she knows that the palace can be seen from afar, and therefore thinks that it is easy to find. Suddenly, the man grabs the girl by the shoulder and asks his sister where she is going in such a hurry. Ati looked at them, and he asks why she is so scared. The stranger says that there is something interesting there and asks if they will go together. At this time, the main character thought that these people have problems with their eyesight because she looks much younger, and then says that she is already married. The man claims that they are decent people and asks if she knows this, and if she doesn't believe it, then they won't do anything bad. Ati screams, asking for help. Suddenly, the prince appears and asks who dared to touch her, and then hugs her and says that everything is fine because he will protect her. The girl explains that these are people, but when she looked, she realized that they had run away. He suggests that she not pay attention to them because the fireworks will start soon, and so suggests that he go from there. And then he asks if she is very scared, and thinks that if she looks, she will calm down. Adrian says that in order not to lose each other again, he suggests that they hold hands. Adi looks at the fireworks with pleasure and delight, and says that it is very beautiful. And the young gentleman thought that he would like the fireworks to be all year round, and somehow they will work out the budget. The main character asks the guy if he is looking, and he claims that he is looking, and then looked at her and could not resist, and kissed her. The next day, the young lady tells the man that she was at the festival yesterday, and the fireworks were beautiful, and then asks Mr. Michael if he saw them. The man replies that he was watching from the palace, and then says that it means she was not at the banquet. At this time, the main character thought that perhaps she should agree with this. Adi says that she also ate different food from the stalls, and she had tried all the dishes before, but for some reason at the festival they seemed much tastier. He says that he thinks it is because of the atmosphere of the festival. The girl says that the fireworks were the best, and she saw them so close for the first time. And at that time, I thought about how the balls in the palace are so trivial, and she often has to be dragged to them. Mikhail tells the lady that if he gets a chance, he would be glad to go to the festival with her because he wants to enjoy the atmosphere together. At this time, the main character thought that for a second, it seemed to her that this was an invitation to a date, and she believes that this is probably not what the gentleman meant. The girl agrees and suggests going together if possible. And then she says that Akasha also said that she wants to go to the festival, and it's a pity that they couldn't do it. Ati explains that Akasha is a friend's younger sister and a very sweet 9-year-old girl who follows her around like a little tail, telling her sister off, and therefore considers her a charmer, and that someday she will introduce her to him. The man says that in fact he also has a cute little sister. Hearing this, the lady says that if this is his little sister, then she is probably a real angel, and then looked at him and realized that she said something wrong. Mikhail explains that she was very sweet as a child, but now she behaves as she pleases, and perhaps that is why he misses those times. The main character asks him if he wants to join the Acacia fan club and suggests that they both be fans of her. The princess asks in surprise, what does it mean that her sister is ugly, and therefore covers her face with a veil, and she does not understand how it is possible to say such a thing. The maid explains that there used to be rumors that the future crown princess was a beauty, but since no one saw her face, people in the palace began to say that she was ugly. The lady says that the little sister will soon become the crown princess, and therefore she wants to tell everyone to be careful with their words. However, she wonders who could have spread such a rumor. At Grace's palace, Her Highness says that she sees that the servants have too little work to do because they have time for such nonsense, and then asks her daughter if she agrees with her. At this time, the maid thought that when the empress smiles like that, there will be trouble, and the princess claims that to think that such rumors would be allowed to spread throughout the palace, and she is very sorry about this, and does not understand that she must take up discipline. The empress says that the chief maids and servants of each palace have been gathered. When the prince heard this news, he asked in surprise who was spreading such rumors, because he thought that, of course, it was the one who wanted to ruin Ati's reputation. Turney screams and says that he will not forgive them, because he does not understand how they dared to touch his sister. The prince suggests that he calm down, but the guy objects and asks how he can be calm, because he thinks that this is a challenge to the entire Oviedo people. Essen asks why he is so excited, and Turney screams and says that his fiance is in danger, and asks what he is doing, because he does not understand how he can remain calm when such rumors are circulating. Adrian reports that their current beauty is the most beautiful in the world, and therefore suggests that it would be better to find the one who was the source of the rumors. The Marquis thought that he would definitely find out, and finish them all off. Essen thinks that rumors are rumors, but he wonders if Atian shouldn't know about this, since she is interested and a person. Turney says that he must go and console her. The prince asks where he went, because he thinks he still has something to report to him. The guy asks if he is talking about information regarding the performance at the festival, and then says that this is the list of committee chairmen responsible for the preparation, and gives it to him. The gentleman says that initially there was a rule that a corpse that performed once was excluded from the following performances, although they bypassed it, but on paper they left everything, so there are no problems. Adrian says that it turns out that the person behind this is not a commoner and that we need to dig deeper. Turney says that he will first look for the one who was the source of the rumors about the Ate. The prince thought that Essen was a bastard because he didn't understand where he had gone and hoped that he wasn't going to Ati. However, he didn't know about Diana and Thorny, but he was worried when they were together and also assumed that maybe he was exaggerating. The main character asks in surprise if it is true that she hid her face because she is not pretty. Madame thinks that she has nothing to worry about and suggests that she just behave as usual. At this time, the girl thought that this was the same as insulting the Imperial family. Atienne saw Mr. Essen and was surprised, but he claimed that she could not worry about rumors because they would be dealing with turns. Lucy thinks that if he is telling the truth, then she is probably Mr. Thorny now, tearing and throwing. He agrees with her and explains that he could not watch this, and left. Madame thinks that, of course, he doesn't want the family's reputation to be tarnished, and the girl agrees with her and thinks that's how it is. Lucy says that he still can't allow his beloved sister's feelings to be hurt. The main character asks if he really came to cheer her up. Essen replies that he just wanted to talk about it, and Madame claims that this means he wants to console Madame Atienne. The lady thanks, and then says that she will not lose heart. At this time, the butler enters the room and says that His Majesty the Emperor invites Lady Oviedo. Hearing this, the main character does not understand why he might need her, and asks. And the man says that His Majesty has never called her before, and this is natural. Before Essen refused all meetings and invitations to break off the engagement, as if saying, do whatever you want with him, even kill him. The girl doesn't know how they managed to settle everything, but because of this, everyone began to think that Ati was in poor health, and then she says that since he is inviting her for the first time, it is something serious.